Well, there goes the Daverhood. Welcome, everyone, and happy morning to you this Saturday.
Can you get rid of the elephant in the room?
What elephant? What dear? What dear? May 27th, 2023. We're here. We are here with the 896th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the Stream, conmigo, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who will be helping us out on this morning. And now I think I told you about this. No, I think that this actually happened after last week's show. So there's much to tell before we even get started with the real what's going to be on the actual program today on Dave's Gone By. So here's the deal. Dave's Gone By mixes humor and talk and music and interviews, not much music, but interviews and culture, comedy, nonsense. It's what we do, what we've been doing since 2002, honestly, more than 20 years. And we do it every Saturday morning from 9 until noonish or thereabouts, live now on Facebook, yes.
Whoa.
So we read this morning.
Whoa.
We read this morning. Joyce showed me on Twitter. There was a story. No, because it's way too cold but Joyce shows me on Twitter. There's a story this morning about planes. I haven't been on a plane probably in like 4 or 5 years now.
You look very handsome.
Why, thank you there. So she said this happened.
You look like flowers.
Yeah, this happened last week or a week or two ago.
I think pretty recently.
Yeah, on an Asiana airline. I've never heard of Asiana Airlines, but apparently it's this airline, and they were flying from a vacation spot called Jeju. In South Korea. There's apparently an island off of South Korea called Jeju. I mean, I looked it on the map, and funny, it didn't look Jeju-ish, but it...
Oh, good Lord.
And they're flying to South Korea, like Seoul or something. So, not even a long flight, not like one of these transatlantic international flights. Just going from one part of Korea to another. And then, passengers are there. And apparently there's a guy sitting in the emergency exit of the flight. And he is feeling, as a lot of people do, he's feeling, he said, suffocated, trapped.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get,
this is what I don't understand. Maybe he was working on an island, but he said he just lost his job. So if you just lost your job, would you go to like a fantasy island vacation? Like, why is he going on coming back from a trip?
Maybe it's a job interview. I don't know.
Maybe he worked there. So I think he lost his job.
Yeah. Well, he lost more than his job. He lost his mind for a moment.
I'm sure a lot of people lost their cookies.
Well, here's what happened.
Remember the one time we were on the plane and they said, "Oh, we're going to have turbulence," and we dropped, like everybody felt it.
That was heavy.
And then remember, then we smelled like, it smelled like doo-doo, and I said, "Oh, David, I think someone farted," and you said,
"No.
It's worse."
It's worse. Because it was me. But no, but...
No, it wasn't you.
So here's what happened. This guy sitting in the emergency exit felt like, I need to get off this plane as soon as the plane lands. So he made preparations for it early. This is absolutely true. The plane is still in flight.
Oh my God.
It's landing. It's about 2 or 3 minutes from landing. And it's about 700 feet still in the air. Getting towards the runway taxiing.
It's not like on the, so...
Yeah.
What is 750 feet? Like, what's a relationship?
And if I stood on my shoulders, like
is it a
300
building?
times.
Is it like 10 stories? Is it 2 stories?
That's a really great question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many yards. Divide by 3, it's yards. I don't know. Multiply. I don't know. Anywho. But it's still in the air.
No,
okay, the plane is still in the air. And still, a couple of miles from the runway, it must be. Even if it's slowed down.
It's on the descent, yeah.
Yeah. So he somehow, this happened. I tell you this happened. Somehow he opened the door. Here, ask away.
What is a representation of 750 feet?
Yeah. I don't know how many yards is 700 feet. I don't know. Just, but point is, he managed while the plane was coming in to open the emergency door.
It's
Yeah.
not good.
No, it's not good. But think about that, folks. You're sitting next to him. You're sitting in seats all around him. And suddenly, while the plane is still flying at God knows how many miles an hour, and is still hundreds of feet above the runway, above the ground, the door opens.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's the quietest, gentlest day, it's going to be windy. and you see, and there's footage of this on Twitter. The people broadcast this. They tweeted this as soon as they could.
The height of the Golden Gate Bridge is 745 feet. The height of the bridge.
And you jump off that, you land on water.
Yeah, so, but he's like 700, so that's like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
Woo!
The plane was that high, off the one up.
David,
physically, this is an artist representation of how I play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I commissioned that. That was cool. And suddenly everybody is like, they don't even know. There's no scream, or maybe they're screaming, you just don't hear it. Yeah. Because all you hear is wind being sucked into the cabin. Well, look at the one sucked out. That's what I would figure. That would scare the crap out of me.
I would be afraid. That's probably why people have heart palpitations, because they're afraid they're going to get sucked out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God, David, they have a little seatbelt and they're gripping the armrest. I'm amazed nobody got sucked out. Because gripping the armrest and holding, and that tiny seatbelt, it's not even a...
Yeah, the plane, if you're gripping 1,000 feet up, you in your armrest, in your chair, would go... Yeah. You'd be flying in the clouds.
You know, the good part is at least they were landing and people had their seatbelts. But they said 10 people restrained him. So 10 people got up.
After the plane landed.
No, I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if they got him in air or what.
Oh, you think? Well, I would not be getting up out of my chair to restrain a guy. Because if you wanted to get out, let him go out. let him fall 700 feet. You know, because this is what happened. And they've landed the plane safely.
Yeah, that's amazing. But they said the pilots are trained for it. They don't,
Well, they should be trained for a whole lot of things. And there were about 9 or 10 people hospitalized just with hyperventilation, because they were suddenly sucking in.
But also, you're scared you're going to die. Yeah. I mean, like, if you have a heart, if you're in the last row, you're like, oh, whatever, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But there are people, like, there's an older man and a guy right where the door's open. Like, if you're in that emergency row, it's much different than if you're in first class or you're in the 33rd row. You know, like where you are, I'd be having heart palpitations if I was right near the door. Yeah,
well, you saw the guy. He's like...
he's holding on like that.
He's like that fellow. Remember the Memorex commercial?
Beaker.
Beaker or remember they have the dog and the guy in the suitcase and the wind just goes whipping at him in the chair. That was not him. That was another poor fella.
Open, because remember the expert said it didn't. Why would an emergency door be able to be opened on a plane mid-flight in the Asian airline? It said they're just saying that because it was low altitude. Yeah,
because had it been 20,000 feet up, the pressure against the door, no matter how he even tried to open it.
I'm going to try to get you, let's see.
And then, of course, if, God forbid, you have an emergency landing, not the ushers, what do they call them now? The flight attendants come and they tell you... the flight attendants come and tell you there was a reason they put people at the emergency exits, because they want somebody, and immediately, oh my God, the plane's on fire. You, sir, emergency exit. Get the door open. Send the passengers off.
That it's because of low altitude that it could. But
But still, you should not do it. You should not really be able to do it. Although, let's say the plane's on fire, you're 5 feet off the ground. Yeah. Do you really want to wait until you're on the ground? Do you want those extra 10 seconds?
If you jumped at 750 feet, you die.
Yeah, 750 feet.
Because you're up to it's like jumping off the bridge. I mean, you can't.
Well, he wasn't planning to leap from that.
But what I'm saying is it shouldn't be an emergency feature, because you wouldn't be safe. It should only open when you're safe to jump out, which is maybe 10 feet
4
off.
feet, right?
10 feet, you could
You
break
could break your legs. You
but
would.
however long those little plastic slides reach, the slides that come out.
Yeah. If the slides come out immediately and whatever, or
why
you
did the slide come out?
And you also answered, why didn't the oxygen masks come
Yes,
out?
that's what it said too. Another, the pundits all talk, but somebody said, if maybe the oxygen didn't get that low, but usually.
Well, if it's, let's say, the height of the Golden Gate Bridge. If you're driving on the Golden Gate Bridge, you don't need oxygen. You're not that. It's not like Colorado.
You're not driving at the height of it. You're not driving at the arches of it.
Right. Yeah, but even so, I guess you have to be like 5,000 feet. Well, yeah, think about it. Denver is the mile-high city. Is 5,200 feet above sea level. And you can still breathe.
That's true.
Pretty well. You can go 2 miles above sea level and not really need oxygen.
Not all
unless you're doing a hike.
Passengers could breathe well.
So they arrested the guy. He could be facing 10 years in prison for.
Isn't it federal? It's federal, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a different country, but still,
it's
FAA.
Now, but isn't a plane like a federal?
It must
crime?
be. And he just said, I just felt suffocated. Some people snap on airplanes.
You saw the William Shatner thing with the.
Well, I don't think he saw a monster crawling on the wing.
Oh no.
And then if I saw a monster crawling on the wing, I would be against the door, holding the door closed. I would not be opening the door. It's like, come on in!
Come on
Folks, it's a monster! It's a Gila monster thing.
In first class they have, I don't know, salted peanuts. Come on in.
Yeah, man. Now, speaking of monsters, but it's not really.
What do you think they're gonna get? Do you think they'll all get a free plane ride or something? Like, what's the?
From South Korea, I don't know. They might get like a $10 gift certificate.
Or would they sue? Because that's.
They all get a Hello Kitty handbag. I don't know. I don't.
That's scary.
Honestly, no. It's a scary, creepy ass thing. If I were one of those people sitting right next to the door, I'd be like, "We won't be flying again real soon." I'm gonna Amtrak.
Or actually the reverse, where you say like, you know what? See, for me, as someone who's afraid of like contagion with COVID, I'd be like, thank God we have fresh air.
Yeah, right.
But I think like the good part is I would be more apt to fly because I'd be like, if we survive this, I feel okay on a plane.
And also the odds. Like, I wasn't killed this time, so the likelihood is. And then suddenly, a week later, you hear the John Denver song playing, and like you're killed in an elevator or something. But no, it's an amazing thing. And this guy, just who would know? Who would know that you can just kind of pry the airline?
I blame.
All right, now this happened.
Shitty corn.
This happened.
Shitty corn.
Yeah. You want to set up this story? No, you sure?
I to set up this story. I'm gonna Google search a picture of him to see what he is.
Please do. So last week, after our show, I was kind of rushing through last week's program. We even ended a little bit early because I wanted to go to our local community yard sale. Because it's one thing to go to, this garage sale here, a yard sale there. Estate sales are pretty cool. But, you go spaziering through the neighborhood. But it's really cool when a whole neighborhood has a yard sale. It's like everybody's invited to put their crap out on their lawns. And so there's a lot of things to search through. You can go the morning and just go poking through people's detritus. 80-year-olds who have to downsize.
Look, stuffed giant unicorn.
Yeah.
Want to see him?
I haven't even gotten to him yet. Here's the thing. So, to me, it's like thrilling because, if there's a crappy little garage sale here, 3 doors down, there's another little crappy garage sale. And then across the street, there's another crappy. And you put 3 crappy garage sales together, it's less crappy altogether because there's more to look through and more possibilities of finding something that you absolutely have no use for, but cannot live without. So our neighborhood, and even though we ended the show early, the yard sale was supposed to go until 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
That was sad.
We get in the car. We're like, it's our neighborhood. It's like 1 block here, 2 blocks there, around the corner there. We go through, and there's almost nothing. It's like maybe everybody was out at like 8. There was also rain.
We asked the people near the pool, and they said honestly, like only 6 tables. It was a huge parking lot. They said only 6 tables were there, and one guy just had like baby clothes.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't
It was not exactly a spectacular. It wasn't the Roosevelt Field flea market thing.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't vastly attended.
No,
you know.
no. And by the time we got there, 4 of the 6 tables that had been there left. So we find. In fact, we passed the place and we're this can't be it. And then we go around the block. And that was it.
Yes. That was sad.
But okay. So we go sputtering. There's really very little, and one couple had this ice cream maker that they used once or twice, but it was like $25. For $25, I'm going to buy on you.
No, it was 15. You keep saying.
Oh, it was 15, and they marked it down to 15.
Yeah.
Even so, I think for an ice cream, for a food thing, I'd rather buy new and pay a little bit more. Generally, then $15. It's your ice cream. Somebody made ice cream in that. They probably spit over it or something, or it was in their kitchen. It was in. You want to give it to me for $5? Oh, I'll try it. But 15. This is the neurotic Jew in me. Okay, fine. And we did the usual thing of the occasional mug or plate or things that we're looking at and don't really need. And then on our block, we come back, we circle back. On our block, there's a couple with no discernible children for years.
Look, their children are adults now.
Long.
At least 18 plus, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, come on, these people.
Oh, you didn't do for the Korean airline.
Here.
Demonstrate the people on the airline.
First of all, we actually have an effect created for us here. This is the folks on the Asiana Air. And let me add the racist element to that. I can't do Korean.
The guy was a white guy. The guy to the door, there was a white guy.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Anyway.
You're funny.
Thank you. So we go across the street to these other folks who are among our neighbors.
Oh, you do have the gift.
No, I'll save that because we don't want to mention that until.
Okay, yeah, you got that. I know, Alina.
Yeah. And they don't have, again, not a lot of stuff that we're looking at.
Nice things for other people, but not things that we collect.
Remember 2 weeks ago I told you about this other place where they had, years ago, the woman's daughter created an avocado lamp.
Do you want the hobby horse?
Oh, that too. That was a week or two ago too. So, and I was like, who on earth made that monster? Because it was like blocks of wood, one of them which was made to look like an avocado with a pit in it, and it was a desk lamp. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, what a fantastic monstrosity.
Oh, you should.
And then the woman selling it was like, my daughter made that.
You could do like.
Oh, well,
you want to show
that's
how
horrifying.
You first saw him, yeah.
Well, I will.
Okay. Yeah, I took out the neighbor in.
So, and as you said, I passed up opportunities the week before because they had, one man had a big hobby horse, like the kind you would get outside a supermarket where you put the kids on to kind of have, and I was like, we could use that.
We have a picture of that, but I'm not showing that.
You're not going to show that.
No. He was beautiful.
No, that was a beautiful piece of art, or object thing. As a matter of fact, this week, we were in a place, we had lunch in a place that had a carousel horse that was 100 and something years old. No?
It was a giraffe.
You're right. It was a carousel. It wasn't a horse. It was a carousel giraffe that was, they bid on it. They must have spent hundreds of dollars on this giant thing.
It was so expensive they bolted it to the ground.
Yeah, because they figured people were going to steal.
Or maybe try to ride it.
I did. They threw me off.
I don't think you could have got up there. It was high. Giraffes are tall, honey.
So this was the week for this kind of thing. And I'm looking across the street, and they really don't have much that I'm kind of interested in. But
they're just normal stuff, yeah.
But then I take a gander at this.
Well, first that's the picture I took through the window. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, right, yeah. Because that's right, it's right across the street. We saw it before we even went to see it. And both Joyce and I are looking at our window and going like, what
is that
on earth? What the hell? So now I get to go across the street. And I see these people. And
Here, I'll show you the picture montage. We have the photo.
Oh, yeah.
Photo
Oh, yeah.
of you.
And Joyce realizes that me being me, I need to have photos with this because it is this enormous, fluffy unicorn thing that is literally the size of me. It's not that heavy, but physically, from top to bottom, from horn to hoof, it is essentially my height. I'm like 5'2". This thing's probably about 5 feet. All right. And if you don't believe me, in a moment I'll stand with it.
I can't find the.
Oh, you can't find it in the montage? Oh.
I do have all of them here.
Oh, there, I see him. I see him right there. So
hold it like this. Don't move it.
So I begged Joyce, and it wasn't even my idea. You were like, okay, we gotta get pictures.
Yeah, because I thought it would satiate you, stupid me.
So I go near it.
And the neighbors then, and our neighbor Greg said, our neighbors are scared now of us because they think we're insane with Fluffy.
Well, because I started playing around and having pictures taken.
Well, we asked first. We were polite. Yeah. I said, do you mind if David takes pictures with this monstrosity?
And they didn't realize I would lie down with it, that I would talk to it, that I would stroke it in its private places. It was a beautiful thing. And then I was looking at Joyce and I said, should I get this? And Joyce has, you're not married to her, but I am. And she puts on one of these faces where I'm like, no, I better not. And she's like, you have the pictures, David. That's enough, right? And I'm like, I guess it's enough.
I'm gonna find the other.
So reluctantly, we walk away, and it's still there, this unicorn thing. And I'm like, nope, not gonna get it. Not gonna, I have my potatoes. We have all this other kind of, delightful,
so
ridiculous
just hold
crap.
It like this is your other one.
Yeah.
This is your prep.
Oh, this was the other hobby horse from a different garage sale. Look at this. Look at this. I passed that up. I should have gotten that. Now, look at that. I mean, these things, let's be honest, they're in garage sales that people are selling them for like
they're probably hundreds of dollars when you buy it.
By the time the garage sale was over, the guy was like, you want it?
No, but the kid was so cute. She's like, and I'm like, can he take a picture on the kid's like, of course he can. I like it. Yeah. And the father's like, gets up to her. She's like, he can do it.
So that was, and she let me take a picture just as I showed you on that horse that, I wonder if they still have theirs.
No, it's gone.
It's gone. Okay.
Yes.
But, so here's what happened. We leave the garage sale, we go get lunch, we go around the neighborhood. And we come back, and now this unicorn thing, the garage sale's over, and it's on the front lawn, just kind of lying there in a heap on the strip. Because they're basically saying at that point, if you live in suburbia, you leave crap on the curb, you don't even have to put the sign. It's like free take me.
Yeah.
Some piece of old furniture, some shelf, some chair.
Some crazy unicorn that nobody wants.
An old video game is like, you want it? Here. Don't even have to Craigslist it. You're driving around, somebody sees it, you want it, you take it. So it's there. And I'm looking at it, and it's there all day. And every time I look out the window, and I'm consciously, intentionally looking out the window, I'm like, it's there. It's still there. And I'm thinking maybe I can sneak out, when Joyce is in the bathroom or something and grab it. And Joyce is like, don't even.
Yes. So what happened?
Here's the real story. Somewhere in the late afternoon, it's gone. And I'm like, somebody took it. Some family with a child, with a young kid, came along, or one as a gift or something. They grabbed it off the lawn. Everybody's happy. I mean, I was kind of sad, just of the sheer ridiculousness of a 59-year-old man wanting a ridiculous giant unicorn. But at the same time, it's like, oh, great, somebody took it. It isn't just going to go in the landfill. It's not just going to go in some garbage.
If it goes to like Goodwill or something, some child would like it.
Right, So I'm thinking, somebody got it. God bless them. This is fantastic. And go about my business. We have dinner. We go to sleep, etc. and so forth. And then a day or two later, I'm coming back from dropping you off somewhere or whatever I'm doing, and I'm outside, and the woman there is mowing the lawn. Because they still take care of their own. I'm too frickin' Jewish and lazy to do my own garden. But the woman is out front mowing the lawn from the house that was selling this in the garage sale. So I go, we're neighbors. And I go, hey. I go back up to her. She turns the lawnmower off.
Oh no.
And she's like, "You're wondering about that unicorn." I was like, "Yeah, well, I want to know. Did you see who took it? When did it, did you give it to somebody? Did they just kind of take it off the lawn? What happened?" And the woman said, and you will rue this day. I know you will rue this day, Joyce.
I rue this day.
She said, "Oh, no, we brought it back in." I was like, "Oh, did you?"
Yeah.
Oh, so it didn't sell. No one took it. It's back in your house. And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Would you?" She said, "Would you like it?" And old Dave said, "Oh yeah."
Wait till I give their dog the never-ending squeaky toy. The loud, piercing squeaky toy.
So she literally, I stand there, I go looking at their flowers, so there's beautiful flowers out front. And then she goes back into the house, and about 2 minutes later, out she comes.
Where was it?
And she says, and she's very cool about this. She said, because she knows, she doesn't really know us, but she can tell. She's like, if your wife gives you a very hard that you can bring this back to us, because you kind of figure I just wanted to have it, show it to you,
Yes, exactly.
make you freak out and scream,
Yeah.
and then give it back. But for now, and Joyce says you're giving that back all week long.
Yeah.
You're giving that back all week. Giving it back
After your show.
Yeah.
I know you want to show it on your show.
But she did say, I will allow you. She makes all the rules. I will allow you.
Oh, cocky!
To keep this long enough so that on Saturday you can bring it on Dave's Gone By. You can share it, and then it's gonna go. So I bring it, and I don't. And the beautiful thing is, I bring this giant fucking thing in the house. I put it in the living room.
It's got poop stains on it.
And I'm trying to figure where to put it and stuff, so that when Joyce comes home, she'll have an aneurysm.
Thanks, yes, thank you.
But the thing is, so I put it in, and Joyce was, she was grading, she was still teaching was over, I think, but finals to give, you were grading, exhausted. You come home in the evening, you have a little food, do some stuff. You don't even look at the living room. The place I put, prominently.
It's probably dark,
It was literally by our front window in the living room. You couldn't miss it coming to the room. And you completely oblivious to it. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I probably thought I was hallucinating. Oh, God, I'm seeing the pink unicorn again.
So the next morning, I'm coming down, making coffee, whatever. And then you come down. And then I hear, I think I'm bringing up the tray or something or whatever. And you're like, David! You use my full name when when you're happy with me.
Yes.
And then we had words. And she said, that's not staying here. What happened?
Yeah.
And I had to tell you the whole story of that, it was meant to be claimed.
And we're going to write the note, right?
I mean, yes. The beautiful thing, what I really, really, really want to do is I would love, when we bring it back to the couple who said they would take it back, is you stand on the edge of the lawn like this, and I have to go up to the doorbell, ring the bell, and say, my wife says I have to bring this back. I have a note pinned to my so. But here's the magnificent thing about this, among all the other magnificent things. Because, as much as I love potatoes and things, I'm not a unicorn. But look at this. Just look at this thing. And it has a problematic neck, so you can just sort of...
It has some kind of palsy.
Catherine Hepburn.
No, they can't hold it.
Michael J. Fox.
It's paralyzed in some ways.
Oh, or whatever. Yeah, it can't.
Yeah, I mean, look at it.
But it's as I said, it was the size of me.
It is.
It almost is. This is about 4 foot.
Yeah.
And it's just bulky. And one of the beautiful parts, and one of the reasons Joyce objected to this so strongly, to this unicorn, is, this was in their house, it was their kids, it's whatever. I'm guessing this was chocolate. I'm going to go with chocolate. But as you can see, there's...
Yeah, maybe soda. Ooh.
You're right, it could have been soda. But what appears to be, and it could also be
what
pet.
stains look brown?
You probably see that right there. So there's shit stains down one side of it as I've been gently stroking the shit stained fur, um, which is what really made Joyce lose her mind about this thing. Aside from the fact that it's been in somebody's house, it could be bed bugs, it could be what dust and dust mites and things, but um, the idea that on some level either a child, possibly an animal, but a child shat down the side of his face, and now we have. Come on, you love him, don't you? Don't you love him? She does not. My wife does not love Uni, the shit-stained unicorn, who's been in our house for a few days, and he's making his TV debut. He will not be with us this time next week.
He looks very depressed to me, though.
Yes, that's what I love about him. He's not a happy unicorn.
He doesn't look happy. He looks depressed.
He's like,
I know. Like, why does he look sad?
And yesterday I tried to play the best, not joke, but have the best moment ever.
Oh, that was the problem.
Because Joyce, I put him in the front room, because I like to move things around. So I took him out of the living room. I put him in our front room by the window, and he was there for about 2 days. And then yesterday morning, I have one of my Dave moments. So I move him again, and Joyce is like, "Where's the unicorn?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "Where's the unicorn?" And she's serious now. She's like seriously getting angry about this. Meanwhile, I want her to discover it. All I wanted to do was that because just before we leave to go anywhere, we both make sure, because we're getting older, we both use the bathroom. So I wanted her to discover on her magical own, opening the bathroom door, and I had him sitting on the toilet.
Open toilet.
No, and no seat was down.
Oh, good, okay.
Not both. I could have put him on both seats, but I had him on. You're right. The bowl seat was up.
Yes.
But you wouldn't let me. You're kind of like, Dave, I'm not getting a car with you until you tell me when. Because she thought that, and I would do this.
You put him in the car.
I would have him in the car with his head sticking out the window.
Yes.
And I'd be driving her to school
yes.
with a giant unicorn out. His head was out the window.
Wait till I get tenure before you do that.
So, but I was like, I didn't want to tell her where it was, so I couldn't just say, "No, it's not in the car." I was like, I don't know. And I was almost pushing it to the point of, don't we have to, before we go, let's use the, I'll go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom too. Like, let's go to the bathroom. So you would have that moment of saying, "David, why is that on the toilet?" And we have our thing together, but you wouldn't let me go there. But we have this. We've named him Uni the shit-stained unicorn. Because we don't want to give him a total, complete name, because we're not keeping him.
Well, sometimes you foster things. We're fostering him, and now he goes back. It's like this was his summer camp, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's rather campy.
Yeah, we were babysitting him. Now he has to go back to his parents.
Now, to her credit, Joyce did understand that losing him, even though we've only had him for a couple of days, and losing him a second time, because I met him and then he disappeared, or her, and now she's been back with us, and I have to give her up.
What gender or?
Well, yeah, what is it? Because it has a horn. Could be male.
What gender is a unicorn?
It's got to be on the LGBT spectrum, between the rainbow and the horn.
It says in ancient myths, unicorns are portrayed as male, where in modern times they're often depicted as female.
Aha. All right. So it's somewhere in between in the gender thing. But Joyce knew I would have a hard time. I will have a hard time getting over the loss of Uni, the shit-stained unicorn.
They're saying unicorns originally were thought of from rhinos. So when they saw a rhino, somebody thought this one species looked like a unicorn.
Maybe it was an albino rhino, and they never seen one, and they thought, "Oh my God, it's a whole different thing."
What are the two types of unicorns?
There's two types. It doesn't even exist. What do you mean there's two types?
How did unicorns go extinct?
Because
can unicorns fly? They have wings. You don't have wings.
He doesn't have wings, no.
Pegasus can fly.
Oh, yeah.
The first unicorn, oh my God.
Did they mention any shit-stained unicorns?
No.
Was there a special breed with a brown patch that looks like a shit-stain but isn't?
Unicorns have babies. Oh, baby unicorns are called foals.
See? By the end of the show, she will want to keep it.
No.
No, she won't. No, she won't. But she did get me
Pardon me, honey.
a consolation prize
Oh, God.
to say that once we give the unicorn back, she
Yeah.
knows I'll be upset about this.
You'll be upset about it, I know.
So one of the great things about universities and university bookstores, which still exist, amazingly enough, even though everybody just kind of reads things for free on the internet or downloads or buys from Abe Books or Amazon. But they still have university bookstores, not so much for books anymore, but more for merch for the university and logos and things and crap. And then, our local university bookstore has tons of really fun crap, much of which we bought. Among them, the axolotl, big axolotl that we have, that came from there. And then this week, Joyce actually found this. It's a thing. I don't know how the hell this is, but it's called Grow Unicorn with water. Now, I thought, oh my God, it's a chia thing. It's not quite like that. Apparently, you submerge this in water, whatever this is, and then you wait. Here, I'll hold this up here. You wait about 48 to 72 hours, and then it kind of breaks out of this weird, like, pink husk thing. It kind of just smashes it open and grows, and to some extent keeps growing as long as you keep it in the water. I don't know if, like, you put it in the Atlantic Ocean, if you come back a year and a half later and it's the size of me. I don't think it does that. But here, check out the instructions of this. If I could read them without my glasses. Put the tree stump in a container. Not filled, something with enough water. It is filled. With enough water to cover it. The water temperature must be less than, so it's going to be cooler than 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So put in room temperature cold water. The tree stump will slowly break after about 12 to 24 hours, and your unicorn will emerge. Be sure to keep the container full of water. All right. After the tree stump is broken entirely, add fresh water to the container. Your unicorn will continue to expand for another day or two. After 48 hours, this is the thing that creeps me out. You may like to move your unicorn to a larger container and then watch it grow daily. How big? How big does it get? And if that part gets big, I wonder if that'll work for me in a different way. But I don't know. This is from Toy Smith. I can probably read it better on the screen here than copyright. Is it 2018? Made in, of course, China. This is how they'll take over, folks. It's not nothing to do with the debt ceiling, nothing to do with war or anything like that. It's tchotchkes like this that will make the Chinese our overseers in the next 100 years. Grow unicorn. But it's kind of, I'll open it. We were thinking of doing this week and then being able to show it on the show. But we'll do that next week. Because for now, I still have big shit stain unicorn over there. Let's open this up. Oh, I see. So it's just basically somewhere in here, in this ballet dress, is a unicorn. And we're gonna do it. We'll probably do it tomorrow night or tonight. We'll pop this in water. It will break open, and we will show you the results on the next episode of Dave's Gone By. See, we have a cliffhanger, an actual cliffhanger. And if I don't give that thing back to the people who gave it to us, Joyce will be dangling me from a cliff. I can tell that's going to be true. Anyway, we don't want to leave you hanging too much because we have a special guest on this episode of Dave's Gone By and more stuff to do. Our guest, this is exciting, is a singer, songwriter, and when I say singer, I mean she has one of those special voices. Millions of people can sing, and hundreds of thousands of people can sing beautifully. But this one is one in like a million in terms of the timbre, the coloration, the feel of her voice. It's not a typical like girly soprano voice. It's quite an amazing instrument, and she has used it for everything from pop to rock to a tiny smidgen of opera to folk to really crossing genres, not just, oh, for this year she's doing this and 5 years later she's doing that, but she's mixing them kind of together all the time.
Your guest?
Our guest in the Daverhood. We're not going to play that yet
Okay.
because we have more to talk about, but I'm just setting up
Take a minute there.
that we have Mary Fahl, Fahl, coming to the Daverhood. And it's also exciting because it's been about 2 decades now, almost, when we had the band that she was with on the program. It was back when we were at WGBB, October Project.
Oh, wow.
She was the lead singer of October Project.
They came in your studio. They were in your studio, right?
Yeah. This is after she had already left the band.
Uh-oh.
So they were coming off their second album.
Was it a contentious, or how was the breakup of the?
It was not great. It was not a terrific split, shall we say?
I don't know if it ever is when a singer leaves, right?
Yeah.
Was she the lead singer?
She was the lead singer.
Oh, that's the hard part.
But it was not just internal band stuff. It was the fact that their second album, which is terrific, did not have any hits on it, and Epic Records dropped them. So well, you're a band without a label. They're not making.
She went on to do her own stuff.
Yeah. So she, they were all kind of flying apart on some level because, here it is. You were on this major label for 2 records that didn't really sell. Even the first one both records got good reviews, but
what
didn't sell. And now suddenly, what do? And she was feeling a little bit constricted by the rules of the band, of her being just the singer of other people's songs, because she wanted to write songs.
Write her own stuff.
She was like the George Harrison of the group.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Not really, because she was really front face, so she got all the attention because she was a singer and she was an extraordinary voice. But at the same time, in terms of the creativity of the band, she felt a little squeezed out.
She wanted to sing other songs.
Well, she wanted to sing her own and.
I think she wanted to redo YMCA. That's what I heard.
They all did. YMCA, YMCA. That's me approximating Mary Fahl's voice. I should not do that. So they broke up, and it was somewhat acrimonious at the time, and there's still some bitterness, I think, on both sides, and some rock versions, like it's 20 years ago. It was the label's fault.
You also could have a mediator.
Yeah.
Like, didn't some band get together?
Well, lots of bands. I mean, what Metallica has gone through God knows.
They have therapists on their tour.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a thing for all,
Yeah. People, sometimes they dangle the carrot of, well, we'll give you $40 million if you get. It's like, hey, buddy.
I know, like, I don't need the band. Yeah.
Even the Kinks, I think, are talking about getting, and they're brothers.
That's the oldest story of, like, just ditch the band, right? Look at Beyonce. She dumped Destiny's Child real quick.
Well, she's had.
Yeah, but she was a 3-part. It was a group of 3, and then all of a sudden, like.
But unfortunately, neither side of this has had the career that they really dreamed of. So October Project put out. Man, it took them almost a decade and a half before they did another album again. And they still do their stuff.
Singer?
It's the lead singer Doogie. I said Doogies. It's mainly Marina Belika.
Was she new, or was she in the group?
No, she was, but she was always a backup singer. And Julie Flanders, who wasn't really in the band, but was their lyricist.
Is she related to Ned Flanders from The Simpsons?
They iggly do. Yes, they are. And she stepped up to be like the backup singer for Marina. And then they still make beautiful music, but they've never had major label success at this level. But they still perform, they still do, they've got music out.
Concerts and stuff.
Yeah, and Julie's become a poet, Emil's done other musical stuff. Yeah, and Marina, and they're more active in the past few years than they had been in the past 15, Mary Fahl, whom you're going to meet soon.
When she broke with them, what was her?
Well, she, the ups and downs of a life and of a career, of times of like, oh, I've signed to a label, I got a manager again, I've got an album, and then that fell through and this didn't work, and now I've got a day job, and then she did it, and it's like, but now she has, it's music again. It's all about music again.
Cabaret now?
No.
She's a cabaret, no?
No. She's always been
a live performer?
A concert performer.
Okay, that's why I mean.
And she's going to be, as a matter of fact, in New York this Wednesday night.
Wow.
She's going to be at City Winery with her band.
Oh, wow.
Pushing her recent album. It came out a few months ago, called "Can't Get It Out of My Head." It's a cover,
Oh, I like
an album
that.
cover. You know, well, the ELO song.
Yeah.
I can't get it out of my head.
No, but to me, it would be like songs that you can't forget, you know?
Right. These are songs that were
Like
meaningful to her.
YMCA, right?
I don't think YMCA is on there.
I
It would be interesting to
I
hear her.
hope so.
YMCA would be.
Young Mary, I was once in your shoes. I said, young Mary, down and out with the blues. I said, Mary, there's a place you can go. You don't need to be unhappy.
Yeah.
I think it would work.
That may be on the sequel to this album.
I think she should record it.
But instead, she's doing songs by people like Neil Young and who else is on
Free
there?
Bird.
I don't think she's doing that one either. Actually, she could. She did a whole album. This is a few years ago. A whole album redo of Pink Floyd's "Dark Side of the Moon."
Wow.
Where it's just a whole different creative take
Good
on
for
it
her.
with all the songs. It's
That's her jam.
interesting to hear. It's I hate Roger Waters. It's funny. I was thinking when I was looking up her career and looking up the stuff that she did between October Project and now, and she had to do. Oh, Joyce has a boo boo on her knuckle. You want me to kiss and make better?
No, why'd you turn into Peter Griffith?
No wish.
Yeah, why you turn into...
No, let me see your finger and I'll kiss and make better.
No, I need Neosporin or something.
Oh. You want to hold it up to the camera so people can kiss it?
No, I don't think people...
If Joyce holds her, it's like
No,
Peter
no,
Pan.
no,
If she
no.
holds her knuckle up to the camera,
No.
will you all kiss her boo boo?
Let's not go there. No, honey boo boo. I'm looking forward to that interview. I'm wondering why.
So am I. Unfortunately, I did not get to talk to Mary Fahl, but Rabbi Saul Solomon did. So that is coming up in the show. He's going to talk to her about her career, about her years with October Project, about her new album, Can't Get It Out of My Head, about her going to be playing in New York with a band at City Winery this Wednesday night, and just all the ups and downs of her career. And she's doing fantastic. She married this oceanographer guy, and they live in like this mountainy, cabiny place on the Delaware Valley or somewhere, and they're just it's like this perfect quiet life where they're not disturbed by anybody or anything, except when she has to come out and do music and stuff, and he's got to go, swim with the fishes and things like that. So it should be a really delightful conversation with Mary Fahl on this episode of Dave's Gone By, our 896th episode of the show.
I can't believe 4 more episodes. So what date will the 4th?
Assuming I don't skip any.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, if I get tired or we go somewhere or whatever. But assuming we're a month away from the 900th episode of the show, I have no idea what I want to do for it. I know it's going to come at a time, thank goodness, over the summer when I won't be teaching yet, but I'll also be drowned in like making up a syllabus or 2 syllabi for next semester. But I want to do something special-ish, although it's not like our 500th or 1000th.
Yeah.
So I would love your suggestions if you want to type in on our Facebook page or email me, davesgoneby@aol.com, suggestions for how to celebrate our 900th episode. Because think about it, we got 3 more and then it's it, right?
I can't believe it.
So sometime in June.
I can't believe it. It's unreal to me.
I know. We remember the first moment we stepped into WGBB.
We were so nervous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All play that hamster dance over and over. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. And then I remember, he's like, look, the equipment's not going to really work. And you had all these cards. You made these cards of music. And then he had some sort of learning issue. And it was difficult for him to read. And you made this man follow, he couldn't do it physically, a script.
And I thought, but I've color coded everything. I have strips of paper. Here's an arrow. This is what you do when I say that. Because everything was literally scripted out back then.
Which I like your unscripted much better.
Well, he told me that everybody
starts that way?
Told me that except Jeff Goodman, who was my co-host for many years on the show. He always felt that I was a better writer than I was a performer and MC kind of thing. Well, I'm a better writer than that, but I'm pretty good at what I do.
I think that you're a very excellent interviewer. I like your interviews with people. You get very interesting takes on people. Because I've read your stuff with known people, and you always get more interesting tidbits, or it's always framed in an interesting way where I'm like, I didn't know that.
There you go.
And they're public persona people. And you won awards for your writing, but I think you're a much stronger interviewer and personality.
Thank you.
You know, I think I think.
This is the Jew in me. I don't know how to respond to these things because when Jeff tells me that I'm a fantastic writer and I'm better at that, I'm like, and then you tell me, what's wrong with my writing?
No, but I think you're, over time with your show, I think being more you and less like, now it's 9:01, we need to switch to, I think it's much more, that's more, but it's also the way that, like, even TV news, like we used to watch that thing with that fake newscaster who was like, "Hello everyone, I'm the fake newscaster." Like,
yes, Steve Coogan's
But even
character.
that, even that show, they showed how they were trying to be more relaxed. So they took newscasters away from the desk, So the trend in, like, I assume in media is to make people more relaxed and more engaged.
Yeah, which I'm completely disengaged, but at least I'm there. I'm there for you.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different. As it had to be. It's 20 and a half years since the first episode.
Yeah.
So when I walked in there, it was like, here's my 25-page script for an hour. It was 30 pages. Yeah. And this happens, this and this, and everything. I gave myself a couple of moments when I could paraphrase. But everything was like down to the 5 seconds. And I did that for months. Until finally I kind of like, you know what? But I also ended up getting like 90 minutes instead of an hour. And that sort of... I think that unlocked something too, because we were on for an hour for a few weeks.
So it was the time.
Yeah, we also moved to like 7 o'clock on Monday nights instead of 11 o'clock on Sunday nights, and that gave something with a little extra Lebensraum. I'm like, I can't do a 90-minute ever. Let me just, I'll play longer, full songs, longer songs, and I'll talk a little more. And what's the worst, and realized that I could be amusing extemporaneously.
Your confidence up, or also, it was just the time?
After the first 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, I'd sit down at the mic, and instead of being like, I'd be like, that. At
that time, you weren't video; it was just audio.
It was just audio,
pictures and stuff,
which was also helpful. If this ever translates to CBS, ABC, or NBC or some cable show, my first week, I'm like, hi. Welcome to the show. Dave's got live with me. Dave, Joyce, unicorn thing.
Do you really think so?
No. I think at this point I could
I don't think so either.
Pop right down into a chair.
Yeah, you're more comfortable.
But even so, that first you get the butterflies. You do get, even if I ever got on,
just release it
on NPR or something. There would be, on some level, a great comfort level because I've been doing this so long. But there's also new studio, new mic, X amount of listeners listening live as opposed to this amount of listeners, and like, you're on. Like, big breath before I start to just go, hi, I'm Dave, and you're watching or listening to Dave's Gone. I would have screwed up right there. I would have said, we've been on radio, and I'd be like, you're watching, But that would also break me in a great sense of like, I made a mistake in the first 4 seconds. Who cares?
I know, right? Like you just recover from it. Yeah.
Go on. Just go on.
Did you think when you started you'd be doing it for almost 900 shows? Like,
no.
What did you think you would?
No. It's a tragedy for me. It's this thing of when I started it, I thought it would be a springboard within a year or two to a professional broadcasting career. Of becoming, if not the next Howard Stern, maybe the next Vince Scelza.
But there's not a lot of spaces on
terrestrial radio, or there was no space for me on Sirius XM. Fuck you, Sirius XM. Yeah, I still have bitterness. Yeah.
You have bitterness?
But that's what I really thought. I thought somebody would pick up the show, either syndicate it or create something different, put me on as a morning man, or even an overnight in some kind of 20,000 watt station, because I could do that so well.
That's your jam.
And it never happened. And I'd knock my head. I'd send resumes and things. I'm like, not gonna happen. I'm gonna just keep doing this thing, morphing it. We were an hour-long radio show, 90-minute radio show, then an internet show, then got on college radio, which was a glorious time, and then turned it into this video thing. Which is still glorious. I just miss being able to be a DJ and play music because that was part of it too, But the thing was not to do 900 of this unless the 900th episode would be on WOR.
Yeah, but here you have freedom to do what you want. You control the narrative.
Yes.
I think there's an element of that freedom.
You gain, you lose, but also, I trade my freedom for $50,000 a year in benefits to be on a station. So this is I did not dream of 900 episodes. This is a consolation, kind of like this unicorn for that one. This podcast is a consolation point. Yet, remember, I have this. And I have this. There we go. Don't show your children this. Do not show your children this.
That's probably
very, very much so.
When is your guest coming?
Well, we haven't done Greeley Crimes Old Times yet.
Oh, I don't have my
it's
charging.
Yeah. Well, it's almost 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time here in the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my wife Joyce.
I'm going to prepare.
We have Rabbi Saul Solomon coming. He's the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York, and he does a lot of our interviews. He'll be chatting with Mary Fahl, the solo singer and former lead singer of October Project, here talking about her life and her career and her music, because she's going to be playing in New York this coming week. We also have coming up our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Yes, we have a new Limerick, aren't you thrilled?
Yeah.
And we're going to Federal Heights, Colorado today.
Federal Heights?
There's a place called, it's actually part of the Denver Metro.
Okay.
Area.
I got to email my friend who had surgery there, but I'm not going to. Denver's what time now?
It's 2 hours earlier.
Okay, no, I'm not going to do that.
Just getting on 8 o'clock there. But Federal Heights, Colorado, I've written a poem about it, as I do every week, about a different place in Colorado. This week, Federal Heights. So it's going to be a limerick, a 5-line poem that is, I think this one's kind of gross. This one's pretty disgusting. Oh, yeah. Anywho, that's coming up late in the program. And of course, coming up in just a few moments.
That's a city.
Yeah.
It's got like 12,000 people.
Yeah, it's big. It's a thing. Federal High. We weren't that far from it. It's almost on the fronty range area. So yay. So that's coming up too. What else do we want to talk about before then? Because we've got the Mary Fahl. Stick around. We're very excited about that. That's today's big thing. But we have other stuff that I want to talk about. For example, let's see. I can check off giant shit-stained unicorn.
Thank you.
I got that one.
And the airplane that the door opened.
Well, that was brand new. I wasn't thinking about that until a moment ago.
When I saw that on Twitter, I thought it was like a joke. Like it looked fake. And then I was like, oh no, this is real. Yeah.
And hey, let's all say a farewell to, even though not the hugest fan, but she was amazing, Tina Turner, who passed away this week at the age of 83. She made it to 83, which all things considered,
she had a
kidney disease problem, but she also, had hypertension since the 1970s. Wow. That she acknowledged. She's like, you know what? Because she did homeopathy and all these things and rejected Western medicine. And it was like, probably should have taken some of those Western pills. And, back in the... but she made it to 83. Yeah. And I imagine, understand that this woman, not only was she beaten when she was married to Ike Turner, but you know what the people... these were rock and roll and soul and blues people.
Did she do drugs?
I don't know. I don't think she ever went that route. But I can't imagine she had a healthy diet for the first 30 years of her life, right? So with all of that, Tina made it to 83, which is kind of cool. And I never...
She lived in Switzerland.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, good. About as healthy a place as you can live, I guess. And also a cheesy place, if you think about it.
Her other name was Martha L. Turner.
Yeah, I saw there was a Broadway bio tuner about her a couple of years ago, and it was fun. But the thing about Tina Turner is, and let's be honest about this, has anybody actually played of their own volition a Tina Turner album at home in the last 20, 30 years? You probably have her greatest hits thing. You probably bought it or a yard sale or something. And I'm not even talking about later records if she put those out, but even in the so-called comeback years, when she did Private Dancer and What's Love, these are all songs that come on the radio. You're shopping in Walmart, And you're reminded, oh, that's a cool song. There's a reason that was a hit. What's Love Got to Do with lodges in your head. It's a classic. But at the same time, do I really ever want to play a solo Tina Turner record? I've got to say it never. Much as I respect her, much as she was amazing, and much as the last thing you're really supposed to do when someone dies is say negative, I was like, not my thing. And ask yourselves, really, when was the last time you pulled out an old Tina Turner album before she died to kind of just, hey, let's hear side one of this, except, and this is the glowing exception, except for the one genius moment of her life was when she did River Deep Mountain High with Phil Spector. And so this is all about the whole cancellation thing again too. It's like, yeah, Phil Spector, terrible, crazy person, very likely shot a woman to death. If anybody should be canceled, he did things worse than, I don't know about Jeffrey Epstein, but certainly, who's the producer, the Broadway, the film producer guy, Harvey Weinstein, right? Harvey Weinstein never killed anybody. Phil Spector did. So we want to cancel, but at the same time, who the hell would cancel any albums that Phil Spector produced? Be it by Leonard Cohen, be it by John Lennon, be it by the Beatles, or be it what he did for the Ronettes and Tina Turner. So everything goes out the window. Whatever Phil Spector was or did, you put on River Deep Mountain High, and it's still one of the most astonishing records ever made. That is a record I won't wait to hear in a supermarket. You won't hear that. You'll hear Private Dancer in a supermarket. You won't hear River Deep Mountain High because everybody would just stop shopping and just be nailed to the floor by the sound of it and by Tina Turner's voice and the energy and the beauty of that extraordinary song. So that's a time capsule number of like, what did America produce in terms of rock and roll and greatest music ever? That number, that production of River Deep Mountain High. So for that alone, Tina Turner, will be missed. Not just for her resiliency, not just for, if Mary Fahl has had ups and downs in her career, Tina Turner has been like, okay, just like this, knocked down all the way back up and then becoming ultimate legend, iconic, and so forth.
I'm just reading her stuff.
Yeah. Is there anything new about?
Everything you're saying is in there.
And also, I like the fact that she came from Nutbush.
Yeah, she did.
Let's all say that together, shall we? Nutbush. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to make that joke. What else? Any other Tina Turner stuff to share about that?
I'm just reading.
Well, since we were talking about, since we're just talking about the origins of Dave's Gone By, when I first did this show in October of 2002, walked into this small little 5,000 watt radio show where, they had so many watts in the daytime because AM, and then they shut down half the wattage because otherwise it would ping all the way to California or something. So they suddenly turn into 100 watts at night, so it stays local. Oh, yeah. There was a story in the Post and picked up all over the place about 3 weeks ago now that car makers are debating, they've gone beyond the debate stage, that a couple of different car companies, major ones, among them Tesla, but also I think Ford, or one of them, has made the decision that their next lines of cars in 23, 24 will not have AM radio in them.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? I'm just reading the Tina.
Yeah. Well, but
that's amazing.
This idea of suddenly a thing that's been around it was radio before FM came along, before satellite came along, digital and so forth, AM radio, which for anybody who's over 50 will remember that was the only radio that there was, well, maybe over 60. And now suddenly its very existence is kind of threatened.
Why?
In a way. Well, because when do people, vastly, unless you're really old and you're a geezer and you listen to the radio because you flip it on, or it's one of these snow days
Usually for
and you're
emergency.
popping on WHLI to see if whether the school is closed.
Yeah.
But otherwise, people listen in their cars.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true.
And you flip it down, you go foo, 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 and you're looking for talk because once FM came along, it basically took all the music because it sounded so much better. And now the car makers have said, well, because of the way the electric cars are made, there's something about the frequency and the way it drains battery. I don't even understand it. But it just doesn't work well with an electric car. And even for regular cars now, there's this, because of the interference and the way things, AM just not necessary anymore. And it makes me feel crappy because I cut my teeth on an AM radio. I was on, even though it was a shitty ass station on Long Island, even though when I first got there, I was paying for the time until I started physically working there. And even though AM radio, like all radio, sucks, and that a lot of AM radio, basically you flip through it and it's either going to be right-wing conservative crazies blasting their conspiracy theories and even before Joe Biden is elected saying he's the worst president ever, Spanish gospel, regular gospel, and static. This is AM radio, and yet what a sad thing to lose. Maybe because I'm close to it, maybe because I still have fond memories of building days gone by there. And the feeling of like, it's radio. It's the basic thing. It's a microphone in front of a person reaching whoever happens to put the dial right there.
Yeah.
And of course FM stayed. FM's FM. And now you've got...
What happens to all the AM stations? Will they go to FM?
Well, they can only do so much because there's only so many frequencies. So they can try and get on.
Like 1010 wins, right?
Yeah, 1010, and that's a major one. You've got 1010.
Yeah.
But all these little local stations that rely on the sense of, well,
when is it
in a 10-mile radius.
What you said. When is it ending?
Well, the point is, it's not. What will happen is all these AM stations will suddenly see they won't be able to charge what they charge for advertising because they can. Well, if our customers drive this car, they won't get it. Suddenly the potential listenership the demographic goes way down, and that's what's really going to be facing AM over the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
So I don't know, and it's not like they can expand FM in a car. And back in the day, remember this thing where they had HD Radio 1, HD 2, FM 2, FM 3.
I don't know what.
Never went anywhere with that. They have these alternate stations. And I guess cars are made now that you can basically, since you can have a frickin' TV in your car, technically you can go to any website in your car.
Oh yeah.
Go to an AM station and listen to the people who will.
Maybe people really are loyal listeners.
Yeah. The only thing I can suggest is if goddamn Sirius XM wanted to become a broker kind of place and say, hey, you pay us, we'll give you station number 1147.
Yeah, but AM was free. You have to pay for Sirius.
Well, AM wasn't free. I mean, you got to pay for a transmitter. You got to pay for.
No, but it's free to listen to.
I'm
talking for the listenership. Well, so why would you go from like?
Because otherwise you don't exist. That's why. Yeah. What was his name? Phil Mushnick was writing this week that not playoff games. There'd be 4 Yankee games this week or something. We're on pay TV only. And there were
Did people
maybe
watch
hockey
it?
playoffs or something. Well, people do, but imagine this idea of suddenly this thing that we grew up with free is now, you want to watch a baseball game?
Yes.
You can't watch it on regular.
Somebody said to me to watch this show on HBO, and I'm like, who gets cable anymore, right?
Well, no, HBO you can at least we pay for Netflix. You can pay for HBO. You can get HBO as a thing, I'm pretty sure. Sure. Just like you can get Amazon or Hulu. But it's all the other. It's the world of cable that nobody's bothering to deal with for the most part anymore.
Oh, it's on Netflix. She told me to watch the Skinwalker Ranch, which is like UFOs.
Yeah.
I thought she said it was HBO. It's on Netflix.
So, obviously everything changes, and maybe AM wasn't meant to, mountains come in. At some point, the Leaning Tower of Pisa will fall over. It's going to crumble. It might take another 200, 300 years. But at some point, if it's going like every year, just a little bit more.
I gotta
boop,
watch that.
just a little bit more boop. Just a little bit more boop. At some point, it's going to go just a little more boop. So things that we think will last forever. You must now take what you need, you think will last, whatever you wish to keep. You better grab it fast. So enjoy AM while you can, folks. I don't know. I mean, AM will probably stick around for quite a while. It just won't be accessible in the way that it was. Anyway.
That's very weird.
It is 12 after 10 in the morning Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. We're doing Dave's Gone By, our 896th episode of the show. We're calling it FAHLING Farther In.
I like that
pun there. Falling farther in because...
Very good pun.
Thank you so much. We have with us...
Are we going to do Greeley Crimson Time?
Oh, crap, I forgot about that. How can I forget?
Do you not want to do it?
Yeah, no, I thought we
should
save it for
make the bread and exercise. That's my plan.
Well, would you rather do that before the interview or after? The interview is
about
an hour long. Let's do it. Let's get it done. So,
it's up to you.
Joyce and I lived in Greeley, Colorado for quite a few years. I'll bring this down just a little bit. So, and while we were there was a newspaper in Greeley, Colorado that's been around for well over 100 years.
Friendy sent you that image, right?
Oh yeah, they sent me this rumpled now. It wasn't rumpled when they sent it. This copy of the Greeley Tribune.
The bottom part.
Yeah, all the. I mean.
No, the bottom part of the.
Yeah, no, I'm going to hold on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is real. You want to know why I live in a land with unicorns?
I don't think the photo is real. I think they doctored the photo.
You think?
I think so. I'm not 100%.
But the newspaper is actually kind of legit. At the same time as it has a sense of humor.
Yes.
So in the newspaper there are two columns.
I'm going to see what's on their cover today. I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. One of which, both of these columns have to do with real, actual things. One of them is phone calls that come into the local police dispatch from people who see weird things happening in the neighborhood and want to report them. And anywhere from like neighbors fighting over dogs pooping over their fence, or strange people wandering around, and they're obviously on meth, stumbling through a park. They get weirder and weirder, but they're real, or at least the phone calls are real. They're collected every week in the Greeley Tribune by someone there named Morgan McKenzie. And so we read them, we pick out the best ones and share them with you right here on Dave's Gone By, mixing them with items from another column in the Trib called 100 Years Ago. And literally, there are items that were printed in the newspaper back in 1923. To our modern eyes, they're kind of cute, they're kind of funny, they're kind of silly.
Subscription is only $12 the first year and then $1 a month after, so that's not a lot.
Well, it's $1. Yeah, it's still $12. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of reasonable if you want to subscribe.
Somebody asked who's the editor of the Greeley Tribune. Someone said Jerry's the editor.
Oh, well, there you go. Jerry, of course. Jerry. So anyway, those two items come into...
It only publishes Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday.
And hard copy.
Yes.
But they publish online, like everything. They publish whenever. But yeah, the hard copy's been 4 days a week for the past couple of years now, just to save money, because everything changes. And it would be a terrible shame if they go to twice a week, just have a Sunday paper. And then that, who knows? That's the way the world is moving, perhaps. Perhaps. And yet vinyl came back. Who can predict? Who can know? Anyway,
let's go.
Greeley Crimes and Old Times, where we mix 100 years ago and Greeley Cop Log.
Are you having a quiz?
No quiz today.
Oh.
But we do have Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Oh. There it is. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley crimes at all times here on this episode of Dave's Gone By. So the criminal things happened within the past couple of weeks. These were literally calls that came into the police department. For example, here's one. A caller on 12th Street, oh, there he is, said that a man who appeared to be under the influence was in the front yard, pacing back and forth and trying to cut a tree. I don't know if that's necessarily meth, but oh, that's a chopper. That's a chopping blade. He's cutting down a tree. You know what he was singing? He was singing like, our poor little noise machine. Kind of, well. So no, he's pacing back and forth, obviously like out of it, trying to cut a tree. I guess he was singing, "I'm a lumberjack and I'm not okay."
Maybe he was just thinking he was a hummingbird or a woodpecker.
Of some sort. It could be. It could be. Actually, I had a grandfather with a woodpecker. Oh no, he had a glass eye. Thank you. Now, there's no reason. This is a phone call that came into. There's no reason for this to be funny, and yet I find it funny. I something about this strikes me as funny. A caller on 16th Street said,
they find it funny too.
They find it hilarious. So this caller said a man went to the emergency room for a parrot bite. I don't know why I find that amusing.
The police. I mean, cat bites can get you really sick. A parrot?
Well, the parrot could actually go into your bone almost. I mean, parrots they're vicious creatures.
So why are they telling the police?
I don't know why they're.
Was it a wild parrot? There's no more info.
There's no wild parrot. And the thing is, the caller said this happened to a man.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily the caller himself, because he probably couldn't hold the phone.
So why is he? I don't get it.
Maybe they were just asking the police's advice for an emergency, like get an ambulance.
Maybe this was like at the zoo or something. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Well, no, on 16th Street there was no zoo.
Oh, I don't know.
So
that's sad. I hope he's okay.
And maybe the policeman came in and said, "This is an ex-parrot," and just beat it to death. We don't have a 10th and 10th story, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
We don't. But we don't have an 8th and 8th. We do have an 11th and 11th story. 11th Street and 11th Avenue in Greeley.
That's great too.
Yeah. A caller said that a man was standing on the corner with his pants pulled down and, quote, his behind hanging out.
His behind.
You ever notice nobody uses the word behind?
I like behind. That's a great word.
I mean, in terms of I'm standing behind this.
Yeah, but it was his whole behind because his pants were down. His everything, his legs, his tush,
He was sagging in a very interesting way. Yes, but I love his behind hanging out.
I like that. Maybe it's John Jinglehopper too.
Oh, that could be.
You
yeah.
know? What is it? Yeah, Johnny.
Is Jinglehopper.
Jinglehopper.
This is a story that I told Joyce. We were in Egg and I, which was Joyce's...
No, it wasn't Egg and I. It was the
Wasn't?
No, it was the place that we used to go near the shopping center.
Oh, like the other breakfasty kind of place.
Yeah.
So we're in there, and I go to use the bathroom, and there's a father with his 5-year-old.
Grandfather. Was a grandfather.
Oh, was it grandpa? Yeah. With his 5 or 6-year-old son. Grandson, right. And he's standing with the grandson by the urinal. And he's like, make sure to hold your Jinglehopper.
Would you get back going,
Yeah. I mean, literally, they probably heard me guffawing.
I'm sure they did.
I think I was in a stall doing something else.
That's nice that they called it that.
A Jinglehopper. Yeah, but I've stolen that ever since.
Your young cousin thought that it was the word for it was peanut.
Right.
So your Aunt Esther used to have a tape in the car, and one of the songs was "Found a Peanut," and the kid would lose it because he thought it was dirty stuff.
All right, let's do one more top-loggy current thing.
Okay.
A caller at a skate park near 11th Avenue said a man wearing a jumpsuit told kids
oh no
he just got out of jail and needed to use their charger.
What is that? Some kind of slide?
I know. So much for the 300 yards rule of not going near children. But it's kind of like that's a fun guy to have hanging around the around the skate park.
I understand it. Sometimes you can if you're an iOS user and you need an Android, it's hard because you have a Mac charger, you can't charge your phone. You need the right charger.
You know,
and then I don't know where he's gonna at his outdoor skate park where he's gonna find electricity to plug it in.
Well, do people carry these things where it's a portable, it holds a charge, you plug your phone into it?
Yeah, but that's what kid is that's that's somebody in our 50s, not like a kid at a skate park's gonna be like, here's my mobile charger. And here's my warning flares. I mean,
now we have a flare for this. This is old times. This is now items that were in the newspaper from 100 years ago. Mike Peters does this for the Greeley Tribune. So these were literally in the paper.
I'm so glad he's doing it.
In Chicago. Well, no, I haven't checked for new ones. And I'm hoping he's back to doing them.
Sorry, honey.
In Chicago, Miss Magdalene Wolf set the new world's dancing record by dancing nonstop for, guess,
2 days.
How many hours? They're doing hours.
96.
Not bad. 73 hours. And she said she was still strong after 73 hours, but she preferred to stop.
Good,
I think I did this one last week. But
but I don't,
But the thing was, I was so impressed when Jonesy on WFMU was on the air for 100 straight hours. This woman danced for 73 hours.
That's more impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I think they get little nap things and probably whatever, but jeepers, creepers. It was like to be on the radio for that's nothing, Jonesy.
Some of these athletic people,
Yeah.
they do triathlons, they do crazy stuff. For them, that's like nothing.
So, anyway, they shoot unicorns, don't they?
I hope she won something.
I hope so too. Oh, and yeah, she set the new world's dancing record.
No, but I hope she won a prize or something, or at least a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, a new pair of
Maybe
Capizios.
Epsom salt, right? Epsom salt company.
At its meeting on Tuesday night, the Greeley City Council dispensed with the position of special policewoman. Her duties.
Special policewoman is Angie Dickinson, right?
No, you know what? I'm good riddance to her. Her duties were to censor movies and some public dances, perhaps where this one was dancing for 20 hours.
That's why she stopped.
That position will now be served by a committee of 3 women and 2 men who will perform without pay. So I guess they were trimming the budget, and they got rid of the biatch who's basically there to look at movies and go, they're kissing. No. So good riddance. Well, she's literally a special police woman. So she drives the special police bus.
They're doing it for free.
Unbelievable. A Boulder man, manager of the Boulderado Hotel. Is that the greatest name ever? The Boulderado Hotel.
Boulderado?
Mm-hmm.
It's
spelled like Boulder, Boulderado, which I may still exist because I've heard of that before.
Yeah, Boulderado Hotel.
Is it still there?
Yes. It's got 4.6 stars with over 1,000 people.
Wow, how are we in Colorado for 12 years?
$136 a night.
That's reasonable.
Very good. Pure cold water from the Arapahoe Glacier. Here you could
look at it, the Boulderado Hotel.
You can scroll down, baby. Scroll down and you'll see all the pictures.
Well, that's a pretty,
Yeah, show them the water one, the old water fountain with the sea.
Wait, there's only 3. Oh, hold on. No, it doesn't show.
No, up and down, not left and right.
And up and down, it's only showing 3 pictures.
No, it's not. Right here.
What is that? Oh, look at that.
I was trying to show you for olden times.
Pure cold water. Look at this.
From where? The glacier?
Arapahoe Glacier.
Wow.
From Boulder owned. So look at that.
Yeah.
So all these people are putting their mouths on the faucet.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and it goes back at least until 1923 when the manager of the Boulderado Hotel was found wandering in the snow today in Weld County.
Oh, so pretty.
The heavy snow in the county made him lose his way home. Wow.
That's really pretty.
Yeah. He should have just used his GPS.
Yeah, why not?
Why don't we stand? It's in Boulder? We were in Boulder.
Yeah.
Should have taken the room for the night, when I was doing my stupid show. Look at this. Celebrating 14 years. Look how pretty. Does it? Oh, see, it's a slideshow thing that they do. Oh, historic charm for the modern traveler. Yeah, all right. Oh, look at that.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. Next time we're in Colorado, I'm not seeing that Motel 4 again. I'm going to pony up the bucks and go to the Boulderado Hotel.
It's beautiful.
It's bold, and it's Rado. All right, I'm afraid to do too many old times because we don't know, I haven't seen if they've got any new ones in the past couple of weeks. So let's go elsewhere. We do this in Greeley Crimes and Old Times, even though it's about Greeley, Colorado. Where am I? We like to grab the occasional news story from other places.
Like the story of the plane, right? I think that's an example.
The South Korean plane thing. We have one more news item, though.
David, do you think, just FYI, is that going to create more people opening plane doors, do you think?
Of course, people will try.
Yeah.
Because once somebody has a stupid, freaking dangerous idea, remember the Tide Pod thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One can. Oh, I saw this on Twitter.
Your gay flings.
Yeah, gay flings. So, Mazel Tov, as Rabbi Saul Solomon would say, Mazel Tov to Dorothy Dottie Fideli, age 77, of Goshen, Ohio. You know why? You actually would love this story. She got married last week.
Oh, good.
More specifically, she married herself in a wedding at her senior living home.
You can marry yourself.
It was, there's...
Can you legally marry yourself? If you're a twin.
How legally, I don't know.
You can't marry your twin.
No. Well, no, that's incest. You can't marry your twin. I wonder if people can marry their clones. That'd be amazing.
She married a clone?
No, she married herself. She married herself in a ceremony at her senior living home on May 13th, just a week or two ago. Quote, "This is something I've always wanted," Fideli told the local TV news. "I wanted to get married and have a happy life, but things didn't work out. Now I have a second chance in doing something that'll make me happy." Fideli is the mother of 3, and she was married at a courthouse back in 1957.
Aww.
That union lasted a decade, but she knew the marriage was doomed when she wore a black dress and her husband returned to work right after the ceremony. It's called having to make a living, but
No, I think what happened was he brought home a unicorn, and that was
that would do it.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
So this time she heard about a woman marrying herself on a talk show.
I never heard of this. Did you?
She heard it. I don't watch talk shows.
What's her name?
She thought it was a good idea. Dorothy Dottie Fideli, Fideli.
It's this
in Ohio
for Fidelity.
Yeah, Fidelity. I hope she's faithful to herself now that she's married. She has to keep using the same hand. Anyway, she thought it was a good idea, particularly to uplift the other residents of O'Bannon Terrace Retirement Home in Goshen. Quote, "I do some crazy things around here just to make people laugh," Fideli said. "So when I see them all smiling down in the dumps..."
She wore a white dress.
No, well, for this one she did. She wore
Here
white.
You go, look.
Yeah. Oh, we have a picture? We have a picture of Dottie Fideli.
But there's a video, so...
I guess we can kind of show the news video. Let's see if that... Oh, she made the Today Show. So here she is.
Let me see. I want to see her.
Okay, well, I can either show it to
she's getting ready, yeah.
It's actually a very touching...
it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing. It's really a lovely... In the senior home.
But she's like a character, that's what you're telling me.
Yeah, and she knows it.
Oh, okay.
She like me, she plays it up for other people's benefits, even more than for herself, really. But when she sees other people down in the dumps, she says, "I go get one of my outfits on, dress up and come down," and they smile. Fideli's special day included decorations, catering, and an officiant who was the retirement home property manager, Rob Geiger. Yeah. I came in here and told Rob, "You're going to marry me," which caught him a little off guard.
Yeah.
But he was all for the marriage, as was Fideli's daughter, who helped with Mom's white dress, with floral detailing and the white lilies she carried as a metaphor for cultivating self-love.
It says spreading joy to other people. I like
that. It's actually a lovely, lovely story.
Yeah.
So,
she married herself. Listen, I mean, like, where does the family sit? The bride's side or the bride's side, right? And
Yeah.
who do you register? How do you register?
Again, those two, they don't get along. Well, which side of it? Well, yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I'm cultivating my own self-love.
David, stop that. Please.
Don't even know. Don't even know what that means.
Wait.
Let's get to more criminality because we still have a poem to do, and we have our wonderful interview coming up with Mary Fahl and Rabbi Saul Solomon in just a couple of moments. Yeah, we'll do it while the thing's running. So hold on. In Missouri. No, I'm sorry. This is an old time thing. Let me get back to a crime thing. A caller in the Greeley Mall asked if she could go to the mall and protest a male employee that she was, quote, not done with. I'm not done with you.
You can protest, but why would you? She's protesting where he works, or
he may have given her a rough time.
Oh.
So she goes to the police and she's maybe just telling them, I'm going to go to the mall and I am not done with you, sir.
I'm sure any mall in this economy would be happy to have any patron go to the mall.
Yeah, that could be. And then let's do one more. A woman on 4th Avenue reported she got drunk from taking a shower and the water burned her skin.
That happens. If you take a shower in like tequila or like rum, like when you take a shower in scotch, that would...
Yeah, either that or, it's the water from New Jersey, let's say. Anyway, it's 10:30, and that, my friends, was Greeley Crimes in All Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi!
Yippee-yi, 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 yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Oh, my friends, yes, we still have the Friends of the Daverhood to talk about when we have our Colorado Limerick, but, we're putting it off for way too long. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been waiting for Rabbi Saul Solomon and his interview with Mary Fahl, the singer, former lead singer of October Project, has been a solo artist.
Is her name based on the food, like Fahl the...
No, it's Fahl.
Oh.
I'm not, and she's Irish. So I don't know where they...
Let me look it up.
Yeah,
What it means.
what FAHL is the last name. Where's it come from? Meanwhile, while she's doing that, I'm going to put us in, in share screen mode. Because full disclosure, this is a pre-recorded interview.
German. It says somebody with a very fair hair or complexion.
Which she does not have. Well, she has a very fair complexion, but she's okay, so we're sharing screen. There's my Dave's Gone By thing. There's me, hello. And now here's Mary, and here's Rabbi Saul's interview. Anything more about Fahl?
No.
So, you're not going to miss this, folks. An interview with Mary Fahl. She's going to be in New York. She's going to be playing this Wednesday night at City Winery. She also has a new album called Can't Get It Out of My Head. Talking with the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon. You really don't want to miss this. Here she is on Dave's Gone By.
Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And oh, am I delighted, oh, am I thrilled to have an Irish Catholic in the neighborhood today, in the neighborhood, I should say. This is amusing to her. I don't know why. Religion is a funny thing. But this lovely creature we have in front of us, oh my God, she started with a fantastic band called October Project. She did 2 albums with them, then moved on to a solo career that has taken her from pop to folk to rock to opera, and all at the same time. She doesn't just do one and then move on to another. And her albums include things like The Other Side of Time, Love and Gravity, From the Dark Side of the Moon, where she covered all these Pink Floyd songs, including ones by that asshole Roger Waters, but we won't go there. Her latest is called Can't Get It Out of My Head, which is cover versions of Neil Young, Rolling Stones, Moody Blues, Mamas and Papas, and ELO. So won't you say hello to the one, the only, Mary Fahl. Shalom, Mary!
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm good. I thought I scared you off there with all that introing. But how are you? How are you doing? You look fabulous. How's
Thank you. Life is beautiful. I live up on a hilltop overlooking the Delaware. It's such a pretty day today, and I have a bunch of guinea hens outside. They just roam back and forth in front of the house, eating all the ticks. And
you're Italian?
Yes, we get names like Donatello and Luigi and
So I know chickens eat ticks. This is a good thing. I did not know this.
And hens and guinea hens do. Yeah, they do. They actually, I highly recommend it to anyone who has a tick problem because it got rid of it for us.
Thank you. Oh my God, I have 3 children with lice. Do you think they would work on that if I put the chicken? No,
I don't. I think you need a topical cream for that. But
I have tons of those, but for different things. By the way, did I mention that even though you are looking at the lovely Mary Fahl right now, you can see her in person in New York, and it's happening this Wednesday evening.
Right, yes.
At City Winery. It's over on 11th Avenue and 15th Street in Manhattan. So, and she is, of course, pushing her recent album, Can't Get It Out of My Head. Let me ask you, the wanting to do what we would call a cover album. Because you've written your own songs. You also OP. But why a cover version album now?
Well, it was the lockdown. I had lost my mother and my sister, not due to COVID, but life happens. And I was very depressed. And I felt like I had no family anymore. Like where is everyone gone? The 2 most important women in my life. And so the only way I dig myself out of a hole is to take on a project. And I started thinking about musically, what was home for me? What was home? And I started thinking about those days in the old upstairs bathroom of our house that had the good acoustics. I love a good bathroom or a good stairwell.
I love a good bathroom too.
I love a good to sing. And so anyway, I would go up there and lock the door, and that's where I learned to play guitar. And most of the songs on this album were songs that I played on my guitar in the upstairs bathroom at like age 12, 13, 14, just as I was starting to develop my own taste in music. I had older siblings I was a little kid in the 60s and 70s, but they were teenagers in the 60s. So I was so lucky. I had a sister with all the greatest female singers: Petula Clark, Nina Simone, Dusty Springfield, the Supremes. That was one side of the house. And then on the other side were my 2 brothers. One was the Prague guy. Yes, he listened to Pink Floyd.
I thought you meant he was a Proud Boy, which is very, very different.
No, he wasn't a Proud Boy.
Yeah.
We just aren't going to go there today because it's upsetting.
Yeah.
And also my oldest brother was the folkie in the house. And so all of that was this incredible, and of course my parents who had their record collection, which was a lot of Herb Alpert.
Oh. I love those covers. Gotta love those covers.
All parents. We'll never forget those covers of those records. And every parent in the United States had a Herb Alpert record. So anyway, and because you had the giant console in the living room, always huge, the size of a Buick, everyone would just play their records constantly. And so I grew up as a little kid listening to all of that and singing along with it. So I think I sound a little different than most current singers because I was listening to singers from so long ago. People like Mama Cass. I loved the Mamas and the Papas. I had to cover them. And
you do Got a Feeling from
I did Got a Feeling, yeah. That's maybe my favorite cut on the record. And so what it did for me was I just had to get myself in a happy place, and making this record just brought me back to these songs that I fell in love with then, and I never ever lost that love. You know, when you fall in love with a song, it's for life.
The entire catalog of Wildman Fisher for me, and just every single song he ever did, especially.
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so early Neil Young, those first couple of Neil Young records, I just, as I say, I mainlined those records constantly. And Judy Collins, of course. I mean, so many of us from my age range are so influenced by her. And, ELO is a little bit later, more into my high school years, but I loved them. I had to put a song on. And I did love Pink Floyd. And of course, I did Dark Side of the Moon.
I know this was an album from already a bunch of years ago, but I have to say, I don't know what drugs you might or probably weren't on, but what is Pink Floyd? You have to wait for like 8 minutes of, let's hear some noise. There's a song coming. Oh, well, that sounds like another a little more. Oh, here's a song, yay! And then more 8 minutes of ambience.
That was a huge challenge when we made that record. It's like, what are we gonna do? There's giant sections here, and so my two producers said, "Well, Mary, why don't you come up with some chants?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can do that." And what was fun for me was that I got to dig in to all my other interests, and I love comparative religion and ancient history and all kinds of things like that. And so I started looking through all my books and for example, I needed something to cover giant sections in Us and Them. So I thought, well, what is Us and Them really? It reminds me, I know we're not going to talk about Roger Waters, but
Tweet. Yes,
but I know he's very interested in World War I. And so I started to think about that and the implications of it. And you know how this is the way that creativity works. And I thought World War I and then World War II. And I was thinking, wait a minute, it's the military-industrial complex he's talking about. And I thought the bomb, that was really the beginning of the end. And then I thought, what did Robert Oppenheimer, he apparently, in addition to being a physicist, was a Sanskrit scholar. Okay, so when he first beheld the atomic bomb, he muttered something in Sanskrit, and what he muttered in English is I have become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Holy shit, bomb, but they don't quote him on that one. They quote the other, yeah.
Right, and so I thought, let's look. I happen to have an old copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Not that I'm an expert on it, but I had it in my bookshelf. So I opened it up to look up that part. And the thing about the Bhagavad Gita is everything rhymes, which I didn't know until I started looking. And I looked up what he said, and it was Utu Samavada Sekaham Upavaskabhavisi. And it was. So I put that in Us and Them, and we layered it. And then, just to throw in a little more conspiracy, I layered that over with Novus Ordo Seclorum, Hail the New Order of the Ages. I thought, I have to do it because it's perfect. And so things like that happened all throughout this record. And in the beginning, I couldn't do, the guy that was the doorman at Apple Records was where they got most of that voiceover from on the original Dark Side of the Moon. They just would ask him questions. He's no Cockney guy, he's like, what do you think about death? And they just took little clips from him. So I thought, I can't do that. So I thought, what does this record remind me most of? And I thought it reminds me most of The Wasteland and other poems by T.S. Eliot. So I just thought, well, I'll just use T.S. Eliot. So I quote.
Or any other anti-Semitic poet. Go ahead, yeah, right.
Well, no, it works. And especially, time present and time past. I used that right in the beginning of time. And so all of that worked. And I had so much fun making that record. And that record got me out of a depression after Sony Classical. Everybody there was fired. My contract wasn't renewed. And it's like, okay, well, dig yourself out. And I got a new manager, and a couple of new producers, and we just, again, it was just this labor of love. And that's what this new record, and what I love, something that I did an interview with a guy named Phil Ashton. He does Now Spinning magazine. I don't know if he's out of England. Anyway, he said he and his wife, they didn't know me, but they got sent this album and they began to play it over and over. And he said, when I listen to this record, it's like the sun comes out. And that's what I wanted it to do for people. That's what it did for me. It got me out of my funk. And
well, can I ask you, first of all, is your dad still alive, or did he pass?
No, my dad was born in 1916. He passed in 1998. So that was a long, and natural causes. And my mother lived till 102 and died 2 years ago. And so yes, yeah.
I don't mind. Why did
I've been around a while, I've been around.
I'm not asking around. I was just curious if you don't mind. Why did your sister pass? Because that's heavy, and I'm kind of wondering. Because your brothers are okay, right? Your brothers are alive and well. You mentioned them.
I have a wonderful older brother who's still alive and doing very well. But my oldest brother. And I think this also had a huge influence on certain songs I write. My oldest brother was a handsome boy, and he was killed at the age of 23. He was Special Forces in Vietnam, and he was a National Merit Scholar, and smart, and a really interesting person. And so I never understood him. He always listened to nothing but peacenik, that's what they used to call it at the time. Lots of Phil Oakes and Tom Paxton. That's what he listened to all the time. But he liked being a soldier, and he was really good at it. And he learned. What I discovered recently, which is really interesting, I'm married to someone with grown children. And my husband's oldest daughter is married to a career soldier, another very smart guy. And I told him about this. He said, "Oh, I know what it was." He said, "You have no idea the lure of total immersion in a culture." He said, and this is a guy that did the same thing my brother did. He was dealing directly with troops in Afghanistan, Afghani troops. He spoke Farsi. He lived with them. And that's what my brother did in Vietnam. And he loved the Vietnamese people. He spoke the language. He ate the food. And he said, it gets really addictive. It gets addictive to be that total immersion in a far off land.
Well, and I'm making a legitimate comparison here. You talk to Orthodox Jews who study Talmud. What is it? It's coming out of the real world. And how big is a cubit? Is it 4.5 inches? Is it this? When they built the ark, and you argue for 6 hours and don't look up.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like tunnel vision. But but generally you don't get killed unless there's a pogrom.
Yeah. But again, it's that immersion into another. But anyway, it was very interesting. So that was my oldest brother. He was killed in 1972, and we got the word on Mother's Day. And I've never written a song about that, but there's a song waiting to be written. There is, but I can't go there yet. And you know what I mean? I had a big family, 6 kids overall, and I have a beautiful younger sister, and that's my I didn't get married until very late in life.
And I want to ask you about this because you married a marine biologist / oceanographer type guy.
Yes, he is. So Rich works at Rutgers, and he's been there for a long time. And he's a deep sea oceanographer, but his specialty is those undersea volcanoes. And so he's been down in, if you've ever been to Woods Hole in Massachusetts, there's that little submarine called Alvin. And he has been in Alvin down to the very bottom of the ocean over 100 times and been back. So he studies. He's a marine ecologist, really. So he studies the life forms on those volcanoes. And what happened when he was a young guy, a post-grad, he just was lucky and got the offer to go down on one of the first expeditions to not just the bottom of the ocean, but there's like, the crack in the Atlantic, the rift. Well, it's
like the Tuchus.
There's a deeper ocean, and this thing goes down there, and they expected to find nothing. But what they found, it was teeming with life, and teeming with life that was not based on photosynthesis, but on what they discovered was chemosynthesis, a very harsh environment. And so for him, it was the discovery of, it made his career. And so he spent the next, 20, 30 years studying all of those life forms and going down over and over again. And so, yeah. And it's funny. I never would have met him if I hadn't gotten out of my own little circle. And I decided when I turned 50 that I thought, I'm going to do one of two things because I need to bust open my life. And I'm going to either go somewhere in South America and try ayahuasca, because I had been watching these ayahuasca monologues and they seem fascinating. But then I kept seeing everybody itch. Like they thought, yeah.
You don't need ayahuasca for that.
That doesn't look pleasant to me. I'll pass.
Sitting next to one of my children with the lights.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or I'm going to learn to grow a garden. And I didn't know anything about it. And I also wanted to learn to grow a garden biodynamically, which is a little different, little added something, but it doesn't use chemical fertilizers. So I thought, and I didn't know anything. So it's funny. The theme of my life is climb out and find some giant project. And so that's what I did. And through that, I met some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, people that grow a garden. I mean, and because you can't learn how to grow a garden from a book. I made so many mistakes. But you have to reach out and talk to people. And it's always like the old guys that'll tell you what to do with the tomatoes. Like, no, you're doing it all wrong. You gotta beat them up. You gotta really cut them up. They like that. They like it. Or they'll say, no, honey, you're doing it all wrong. So it was wonderful. And through sort of that, in a weird confluence of events, I met my husband, who also had a garden, and also he lived in a place I had been living in a little cottage in the town where I grew up that had this waterfall and had my garden, and he lived in a place with a waterfall and a garden, and we were just meant for each other, and it's been we just had our 12th anniversary of being married, and we've been together for 15 years. It's just went by, and we were just saying, it's like these have been, I have to say, the happiest years of my life.
Oh, my point. I mean,
really,
no time in 2020.
But they happened because my early life, I was so ambitious and just all like I was tunnel visioned, and I had to get a deal, and nothing was going to stop me. And then you hit around age 50, and you think to yourself, what have I devoted my life to? I mean, that's it. I mean, you have a couple of CDs under your belt, and so I always thought that for the the right person, I'd be a really good wife. I knew I would, but it had to be the right person, and I wasn't going to settle for someone that my
Oh,
husband.
you're so not Jewish. Because Jews, they come out of the womb. Oh, who can I settle with?
I know, but on the other hand, I understand that because that's about propagation of the species, and it's very important. It's very important. I mean, honestly, I wish I had found someone young. But I didn't. I found the person I needed to find, and I took a long time to mature. I really did. I look back, and I wasn't fully baked until I was much older, and so I was ready for someone like my husband, and
I do wonder, in terms of the maturity and stuff. When your first big splash, you were on Epic Records with October Project, but you didn't get to write your own songs or sing your own songs, which was, I guess, was a sticking point, and it was not perhaps a very happy time or celebrate or.
It was an interesting but odd setup, and not. I mean, Renaissance had the same setup. You remember Annie Haslam in Renaissance? I love Annie.
She's your neighbor or something. She's down the road, right?
Neighbor. She's my neighbor, and Annie and I have so many strange parallels in our life. We both had the same manager. We both signed to the same label. We both had the same guy. That's like weird. And then she drives up, and we both sang. We both had a voice that could handle classical music. And then Annie drives up to have dinner at our house, and we have the same big Volvo wagon, like exactly the same. So it's weird the parallels, but she's a wonderful singer, and Annie Haslam has that signature voice. You know it with 3 notes. It's her. And anyway, it was. But Annie had an outside. With Renaissance had an outside lyricist. So that's another one of the parallels with Annie and I. But it worked out well for them. But in our case, it just didn't work out. It was an odd setup. So
but there's no residual. I mean, you even get along. You send Christmas cards, or it's just like away part of your life. And
it's also that unless you're a huge star. And unless you're taking the publishing from writers where you're getting the money, it's what famous, like there's a famous story about Elvis, and he wanted to do "I Will Always Love You," and Dolly wouldn't give him the publishing, and that was a big decision on her part because Elvis was huge. She would have made, but she's like, I just can't give my publishing away. And of course, in the end, she was right because then she had the huge hit with it. And that's what famous people do. But other than that, I wasn't famous. If you don't write, there's no income. So when I left October Project, I had to go back to a day job. I had no money. I couldn't pay my rent at all.
You were waitressing for a bit. Did you waitress then, or was that before?
Pay my rent. What?
You were waitressing for a bit, or was that before?
Oh, that was when I just got out of college. Okay. And then I did several different things. Ultimately, I became a recruiter in the magazine publishing business, and that was where I was able to suddenly pay my rent, and I was able to. I was able to pay a band, hire a band, pay them well, find really good people, and I was writing songs, not good songs at the beginning, but I got that was a very, very scary endeavor for me because the bar had been set. Did you ever see October Project live back in the day?
I have not, although the producer of this program, Dave, saw them a couple of times back in
the day.
Yes.
Yeah, and
it was around the time of the second album, everything. Yeah.
Right. We did a wonderful show in New York at Town Hall, but that bar was set very, very high. So to start to write on your own, that was frightening, and you just have to have you just have to be comfortable with being bad at first, and you get better and better, and you start to work muscles. And because I'm a singer and I know what a good song is, I didn't just sing my own stuff because, well, it's my stuff and I must be good. No, it had to get better and better, and it had to be very singable. And so ultimately, I started to get better. I worked with very good people. I learned a little something from everyone I worked with, and then I got comfy with it. And then I hired a band. I was making money. I was putting it into my career, and one thing led to another. And the interesting part too is that I thought, because I was, I don't know, in my late 30s, I didn't think I'd ever really get another deal again. I mean, I wanted one and I was working hard, but everybody told me it'll never happen for you. And I thought, well, if that's the case, then I might as well sing songs I love. So I would do this mixture in my show of my songs, some October Project, and then also I love music. I love medieval music. I especially love music from medieval Spain. And I don't know, are you familiar with Ladino music?
Just the language, which is one of the 18 languages I don't speak.
You don't, okay.
I've heard of Ladino, yes.
Their music, the music of Sephardic Spain, is some of the most beautiful music you will ever hear. It's very sexy, and it's kind of got the gypsy, but the minor keys, the great Middle Eastern
minor key, we can't live without them. Yes,
minor keys, and so it's got like this weird, and it's got a thing, and so I started looking at all of that music from medieval Spain, the Ladino music, the Arabic music, and it opened up a whole window for me. I started performing a little bit of that in my shows. And lo and behold, again, because I thought, well, nobody's ever going to give me a deal. Bingo, that's what did it. And
it wasn't just somebody giving you a deal. It was the guy who runs the Metropolitan Opera now.
That guy, yeah, and that guy. And so it's so funny because they were sending scouts down. And so they called me up, and it happened, and I happened to have to do the audition 1 week after 9/11, and I went up there, and I don't know what came over me, because I've done those sorts of things before, and they're excruciating. They really are. They're, suits come into the room, and they're like this, and they don't want to like you, and I don't know what, some strange sense of peace came over me. I don't know what, I'll never understand it. But there I was, and so I'm singing. I sang a couple of my songs, and then they said I sang a medieval song called Ben Aidi Habibi, which is sort of a mixture of Spanish and Arabic, and even a little Hebrew in there. And it says from Andalusia, 11th century. So I sing this, and they're like, "Do you know anything classical?" I'm thinking, yes, but I'm not Renee Fleming, right? So I asked the pianist with me, "Do you know Nessun Dorma? And can you play it in this key?" And he's like, "Sure." So I sang Nessun Dorma for them, and I was told later that that's what got me the deal. And I still, to this day, it's very hard for me to wrap my head around that, because I don't sing it like an opera singer. I don't sing it, I'm not a soprano. I sing like a tenor, basically. That's why I know all those songs. And
I got my rabbi job being able to sing Classical Gas by Mason Williams. So
are you joking? Oh, you're so...
See, I do it in a cantorial sort of a way.
Do you sing?
You just heard me sing. No, I told you here, believe me. But I want to sing the praises of Mary Fahl. I want to spend a few more minutes with you if you have a little time.
I do. All I have to do is make dinner. That's all I have to do tonight. That's it.
What is Mary Fahl making for dinner tonight?
Well, it's we eat very simply in this house. Probably a little chicken with a reduction sauce, and some asparagus, and just a protein and some green vegetables.
Does your husband refuse to eat fish because of what he does for a living? Or
No, he loves fish. We have a lot of fish, and now we eat simply. But we're just starting to get our vegetables in now. So we have a garden, and that's what I love about it. I love the summer because all the green beans come in and the lettuces, and a garden is a beautiful thing.
Well, a beautiful thing is also to go see Mary Fahl this Wednesday night, May 31st.
With my full band.
Oh, it's just you on the guitar. It's a whole big schmear.
Oh, schmear. I love that word. I love that word.
Is it the Ola Bell people, or you have a different band now?
Oh, no, I have a whole, no. God bless them. They went on to do their own thing, and they're all of them went on to do wonderful things. One of them is with the Lumineers now, and one of they were they were great. And no, this is a band that my producer put together for me. They're fabulous guys, and I won't play with anybody where if I don't like them personally. I have to really love them as people. So they're great, and we do all the songs from my new record. We do some October projects. So if you are an October Project fan, I will do your favorites and a couple of the songs I wrote. It's I like.
How come you never do from your solo album? My favorite song is "Want To." I love that. That's such a beautiful song. Want To. It's never been.
Well, you know what it is? You can't do them all, and
you have to do them all. Do the one I like. What's important in this world?
Are you coming to my show?
Well, I'm kind of far away from New York at the moment, so I'm not.
Okay. Well, sometime when we're out near you, and you write to me if I have a show near you, and I will make the band learn Want To, because I love that song.
Thank you. I'm just saying.
Songs that when I wrote it, I felt like, this is a good song. This is it. This is one of the first songs I wrote that I felt was good. But I love that song. And anyway, this has been. So I could talk to you.
Well, a few more minutes before the chicken can wait. Just a couple more minutes. If you have. It's just a chicken. Come on. You can always call ordering from McDonald's.
Dinner isn't due for another hour and a half. So I'm.
Oh well, yeah. Oh my God! Look at all these questions I got for.
I'm good. You can. I know I talk a lot, but I'm up here on a mountaintop. I don't, other than my husband, I don't have a lot of speech. Is that? Well, there he is. Speaking the devil.
Hello, you. Hello, Rich. How you doing?
Good. Be good to her.
Absolutely. Well, that was a nice fella right there. Rich, sonographer. Yes. So, Mary, let me remind people, I don't know if I mentioned again that it was City Winery is where you're
City Winery, yes. City Wine. All you have to do is go to www.citywinerynyc.com. Tickets are there. It's Wednesday night. If you're coming off of work and you work in New York, you can just come down. The doors, I believe, are at 7. Rich, what time are the doors?
Hold on.
Okay, I think they're at 7. Anyway,
the doors haven't been the same since Jim Morrison died. I don't know why. Nobody's coming for you.
But you can get, they have wonderful food at City Winery. You can have your dinner there. They have great wine there, so you can make an evening of it.
You should call it City Dinnery then, because I'm not much of a drinker, but City Dinnery, I'll come for dinner.
No, they have wonderful food there, really good food.
And if I can't get to see you, by the way, on May 31st, you are coming back in November. I know there's already on your calendar, your schedule, you're coming back to City Winery. Do I have the date on that?
Oh, well, I'm going to do...
yeah.
I'm doing... That's a show on a Sunday, and it is the Joni Mitchell tribute. So it's going to be me doing 3 or 4 songs and lots of other really, really good artists doing Joni. And
what is your favorite Joni Mitchell song, Mary Fahl?
Oh, okay. There's so many to choose from, but my favorite is from the Hijira record, and it's a little bit later, but it's
Song for Sharon?
Sharon. I would love to cover that, but I freaking need an orchestra and a chorus. with me to do that. But Song for Sharon, that's the one for me.
Yeah, I can do the background. Dum dee 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 dum dee 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 dee.
Yeah. Could you come in and multiply? Yeah.
Give me a per diem. I can go eat at the city dinnery, and then
I know everybody loves Blue. I know. Well, you do all the. I mean, I love it too, but and I actually love the record after Blue. For the
Roses that's Wonder. Oh, that's my favorite too.
Oh, that record. So the last time I did the Joni tribute there, I did Woman of Heart and Mind, and I did that one. I did Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire.
Yeah.
And those were the two I learned. I had the Joni book where they taught you the tunings. So you have to do all these weird tunings. And of course I did both sides now because I recorded.
Well, your version of that is pretty spectacular, I have to say. There's a couple of videos on that on YouTube, and it's yeah.
Well, it's hard to make Joni.
Doors at 6:30.
Doors at 6:30.
Doors at 6:30.
7:30.
Okay, show at 7:30. Show at 7:30, so you'll be home and in your jammies by 10:30 p.m. And Joni is hard to make your own, especially if you're a female singer. But I think I accomplished it with both sides now. And the other one I covered of Joni on record that I recorded was Urge for Going, which is never on a record of hers, ever.
And Tom Rush, I think, made that one.
Tom Rush is the one that brought, but she never put it on. And I love that song. So that one too, was she, anyway. So I actually don't know what I'm going to do yet. And if you have any suggestions, I'm wide open.
I mentioned before the whole catalog of Wildman Fisher. It's a bit like merry-go-round, the Wildman Fisher story. My name is Larry. You could change it up.
Okay.
My name is Mary. My name is Mary. It's a magnificent song. Either that or some Shuby Taylor. You can take a pick. But let me ask you: have you ever heard back either from the new album or some of the covers that you've done before from original artists? Have you heard from either Joni or Judy Collins on both sides now?
No, Joni doesn't. No, Joni's no. Joni.
Right, maybe she no, but
and not Judy either. But who I did hear back from that was so moving to me that it wouldn't mean a hill of beans to anybody else but me. But Nick. So I covered, if you know an artist named Nick Drake from the early 70s.
You did Riverman on the new album, yeah.
Beautiful. And Nick Drake is sort of a sacred cow, and anyone who loves him is like, no, don't do it, don't cover him, you can't. But I love that song. I had to cover it. And I got not only a couple of letters, but the Nick Drake, I guess it's sort of whoever handles his legacy, his sister and the person. I got letters and they told me that they hadn't been happy with any other covers of Nick Drake, and this is the first time. They wrote me a beautiful letter, and that I understood his spirit. And then they sent me, I'm looking up to see if I can find it up there in my book, is they sent me a copy of Nick's mother's poetry, because it was a huge Nick Drake had very interesting parents, and his mother was a poet, and
she used to sing her own
stuff. Yeah. And so they sent me a copy of the book and said, we would love it if you would maybe try to put some of her songs to music. We think you have the spirit. And oh boy, that was.
Have you tried or have you attempted?
I've been looking at it. Yeah, it's it would have, and the other thing was that when I opened the book, and it wasn't like, earmarked or anything like that, but I opened the book, it fell open to a poem for Mary. And when Dylan says, he opens the book from the 15th century, and every one of those words rang true.
You glowed like burning coal, which is painful. Yes.
Burning coal. And that's what happened when I opened that book. And so I think it was like Mary, we're handing it to you on a silver platter. Take it, okay? So yeah,
Wow.
it's something I'd be interested. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, the only other Nick Cave cover that really, if you've ever heard Lucinda Williams do Which Will.
Oh, well, she does it well. You gotta love Lucinda. She's one of the people that at home I listen to.
Oh. Who
Lucinda
else do
Williams.
you listen? What is on your iPod pad thing?
Okay, who I listen to a lot that's over and over. I love Rufus Wainwright. I mean, talking about more current people, not the old stuff, but current
Well, it could
people.
be Hildegard von Bingen. I mean, whatever you're listening to.
Yes, I have her. I do have her there too, and I like Anonymous Four. I like that. I love medieval music, and but I love Sufjan Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
Sufjan Stevens. Oh my God, he's up here for me. And Laura Veers is another one. Veir. Do you know her? So
I know the Case Fears Lang whatever album that they did.
Go back to just solo Laura Veers, and I have to say, her music hits me the way that French Impressionist music hits me, like Satie and Ravel hits me the same way. And she's not a great singer per se, but neither is Neil Young, or neither really is Dylan. But her songs are, well, I love them. I can hear them over and over again. And Iron and Wine, I love that sort of that neo folk. I like a lot of that stuff. That's kind of what I listen. And I love a lot of. Okay, we have to play a lot of classical music. We have to put a giant speaker outside every day for the guinea hens, because we were told by people that have guinea hens, listen, they like classical music, believe it or not, and we live really in the middle of the woods, and they get picked off here and there by owls and coyotes and foxes. And so to keep all of that away, you have to play music outside all the time. So we play, they like Mozart, they like a lot of Bach. And
they like it, but these other animals don't like Mozart, Bach, and
no, it scares them away. So it scares away the owls and the foxes, and
I was Dr. Schoenberg, but there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so I can, but after a certain point, it's like I can only take so much, and then I've got to switch over to something else, and so.
But can I ask you a total veering away?
Go on.
But when did you realize you could sing? Because probably as a kid you knew you had a voice. But when did you realize you had that kind of voice?
I always sang, yes, and I always sang along with all the records in the house. It was in kindergarten, and I had to do something for show and tell, and I didn't have anything for show and tell, and I thought, well, I could sing a song. So I ended up singing a song for the kids, and my teacher, Mrs. Schassler, lovely older lady, was like, oh, she's like, what? So she runs out of the room, and she grabbed Mr. Stubbins, our principal, and she drags him in. She goes, now do it again. So I do it again. I start singing, and then he's like, oh, wait, hold it. And he runs down and he grabs it was the school nurse, but the school nurse was also his girlfriend. And so they dragged her in, and this one I was like, oh, wow,
In kindergarten.
Why are those
a contralto then, or what?
Oh, I have no idea what I sounded like then. And then I think the teacher called my parents, apparently. And then they really began to, I wouldn't say encourage me, but my father would always make me sing at everything after that. Everything, which was sometimes, if other kids were around, was embarrassing, because I didn't want to feel like I was a show-off. And so I'd be like, Dad, please don't make me do that. But I'd do it, and what happened when I was about 6, you mentioned earlier we were Irish German Catholic family, and so my parents were very active in the church community, and so at one point the General Motors choir came to our church to perform. General Motors, the car company, they had a big choir. They came in, and afterwards, my father especially was meeting and greeting them and talking to them and everything. And they were all having their cake and coffee after the concert. And he put me up on the table, and I was little. They put me up, and he said, "You sing for these people, Mary. Show them what you can do." And I think I probably sang something from The Sound of Music. I suspect I probably sang "Climb Every Mountain," and like a little kid would sing it. But I sang it full out. I've always had a comfort level on stage. As they call it in comedy, I always had legs, so you could put me up there and it's like, all right, just sell it. And I did it. My father used to tell the story years later. He said, they wanted you to join that chorus. They wanted you to, and of course you couldn't because you were too little. I was going to let you go. But yeah, no, and then after that, every year we'd have a big hoopla there was so many Irish people in our church that we would have a St. Patrick's Day big event concert, and they'd have all the dancers, and they'd have different people performing. Somebody'd do comedy, and from about that age on, every year on St. Patrick's Day, I would perform. And when I look back, I had no accompaniment. I used to just get up and sing a cappella. And you'd think they would have gotten me someone to play with me, but every year, that's what I did.
At some point, you decided, hey, this isn't just a gimmick. It isn't just my father showing me off. I'm going to make
because at the time, I didn't. And then I started playing, I got to be 11, 12. My grandfather bought me a guitar, and I started to play those things. And then I'd play at school, and I'd play at what's funny, too, is that I was always looking for ways, especially in junior high, to integrate singing with other things. So in French class, if you had to do a project, I really did this. I took Mama's and Papa's songs and I translated them into French. So for my project, I just remember, tous les filles sont jours, tous les filles sont jours, et le ciel est gris, et le ciel est gris. Je me suis promis, je me suis promis. So I translated.
Oh, but you got an A, because it's a wonderful idea. You're laughing, but I think that's a great way to learn French, and I think it's
and even then, I loved singing in foreign languages, which obviously I still do on records, and I just it was just a fun way to be able to sing, and and then I thought I would go into musical theater, but I didn't study it. I did all the plays in high school and stuff like that, but I studied medieval history and literature, and
Well, it was meant to. Most people should not, if they want to make a living in this world, study medieval history. But for you, it ended up coming in a weird way.
In a weird way, it came in handy. And if things keep going as they are, I always say, that paper I did on serfdom is going to come in real handy soon. So anyway, you know what I mean. So anyway, I tried to, when I got out of college, I started auditioning for things, and I got a few things here and there, but I had a deep voice. People always say you don't speak the way that you sing, but then it was even more. I always sang in a deep voice. I'm not sure why, but there really weren't musicals that were meant for someone with a voice like me. There just weren't. I mean, I wasn't a soprano, and it was always sopranos that got the work. Plus, I I had dyed my hair very dark, so I was sort of like a spooky looking girl with a dark voice.
Well,
And
people used to think you were goth when you weren't. There was always a goth.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I just, and I didn't really know what I was doing in that world. So someday, before I leave this earthly plane, it would still be fun. I did get one thing. Years later, out of the blue, I was in. It's at a very prestigious theater. It's 59 off 59, and they were doing a series called Brits on Broadway. And out of the blue, I got called in to audition because the guy that was the music director was living with a friend of mine, staying here from London. And my friend said, have you thought about hiring Mary for this? And he's like, well, I don't know. And so the people, the showrunners met with me. We had a drink, and they said, you're perfect for this part. You're the character. You're Flo. And I'm like, I am? They go, oh, God, yeah, you tell all these stories. That's Flo. So I ended up, it was based on Woody Allen's short stories. Have you ever read any of his short stories?
All of them. All of them. Some of them commit to memory. Yes, of course I have. Look at me.
They're so silly and funny.
Yes, yes.
They're so funny, and that's so my sense of humor. And you have to be kind of like a silly funster to do that. So it was kind of a review. It had done very well. It won awards in London. So they brought the show over. So you have to play all these different parts. We all had to play the instruments. That was a
So it was a musical. It wasn't just short.
Oh yeah, and I got to sing beautiful songs, and it was a silly show, but a fun show, and I loved the regimentation of having to show up at the theater every evening, sit with the girls, as you guys would say, kibitz, you know what I mean? Just sit there, shoot the breeze and put your makeup on and do your hair. And I loved it. And the show didn't translate to New York. I think that in a weird way, the Brits responded better to that show. The New York audience, especially when you're doing previews, is an older audience, and an older audience that knows Woody Allen like their way, and they didn't get it. Whereas the Brits were coming from sort of a Monty Python-esque approach, so it worked for them, but it didn't.
He married his daughter.
Old people that get, that buy the series tickets were like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, but I had a ball, and it was all completely my sense of humor. And so anyway.
And the thing is also, no joke, that Broadway music is changing. So there are songs and shows by people like Maltby and Shire, or by David Yazbek now, that would, have contralto stuff that would be in your wheelhouse or throat house. Or whatever. Yeah, just saying.
Well, Angela Lansbury wasn't a soprano either, So I always loved her on the various musicals she did. Anyway, so that's and I was ready to go back to, I was doing all different kinds of jobs and recruiting and doing this and that. And I thought, this isn't working for my life. What am I going to do here? And just as I had applied to Columbia University. They have this postgraduate pre-med program that a dancer had told me about. And I had no science in college whatsoever. But I thought, well, if I can't work in singing, then what I'd most like to do, I'm interested in health. I still am. I'm interested in health and healing and all that kind of stuff. I'm really, really interested. And so I thought, well, maybe I could be a naturopath, or maybe I could be and so I applied and I got in because my grades were good at McGill. But what it would require, I'd have to work full time to support myself. And then I would have to take 2 years worth of math and science at Columbia. And I was ready to go. I had my loans. It would have been really hard.
How long ago was this? 'Cause you're-
I'm not math science oriented. You know what I mean? I wasn't a kid. I was in my late 20s.
Oh, so it was still a while ago. But okay.
Really, it was do or die. It was do or die. And then through Kismet and a friend of mine, I met Julie Flanders on Fifth Avenue in New York. And she stopped to talk to a friend of mine, and we all got to talking. And she invited me to her birthday the next night, and we became friends. And she said, I'm really a songwriter, but I'm working at this job, and my boyfriend is really a songwriter, but he's doing this. And, I said, well, I really want to be a singer. And so she brought me out to meet her boyfriend at the time, who's been her lifetime partner. Well, I don't know what they do now, but that was her. And anyway, and they played me their songs, and I knew instantaneously that my voice was perfect for that. I had tried to audition for other bands, but most of the time when you do, the music is awful. And I just, sing with it like, ugh, no, and I didn't.
Imagine the moment they heard you, though. They must have gone like.
It was all, you just knew. And then we worked together for about a year, and then they brought Marina in, and that filled out the sound. And because our sound was so choral, which is, I think, one of the beauties of October Project, really beautiful harmonies. And we worked our asses off for 2 years, just left no, we developed our own sound, and then we began to play out in New York, and we were just really good. It was great musicianship. And then after 3 years, we got a deal with Epic. About a year and a half in, record companies began to come down and scout us, and dangle with us. And it was playing down at Cafe Chenet in the Lower East Side, East Village, Avenue A and 8th Street, and we began to have this huge following down there. And it was a happening at the time because Jeff Buckley was playing down there, beautiful singer, and lots of other people. And people were getting signed out of there. So we were one of the bands that basically got signed out of there. And then we made 2 records on Epic, and were dropped after the second record. They didn't feel that we had a hit. And that's that. They don't waste time. And so it was either, do I stay or do I go? And I didn't see any future with October Project. They wouldn't let me write ever. It's like, okay, I understand. And, if I'm going to make mistakes, which I had to do it on my own time, my own money. And I did. And I was ferocious. There was just no way I wasn't going to do it. There was no way I wasn't going to make it happen. And I did. I got, it took a while, but I got the deal. And I was over 40 when I got that deal with Sony. And then everything, with Sony, the whole new management came in. It was, I think, BMG, whatever. They came in, took over, and the guy that signed me, who was a wonderful man, Peter Gell, just an elegant, wonderful man, left to go to the Metropolitan Opera. And then, I was like, well, now what the heck am I going to do? And so I cried for about a month.
That's a lot of crying. That's, oh my goodness.
No, not a lot, but you just.
I haven't had much during Holocaust Remembrance Month.
I have a favorite hat of mine. It's like my good luck hat, and it's a big fur hat. It's not unlike what you would wear when you're walking down the street in the winter. It looks like something you would wear, a big round fur hat. I put on my lucky hat, and I went in and got myself a new manager, and that new manager put me with 2 producers, and the rest is Dark Side of the Moon. And I love that record. And that record isn't really a Mary Fahl record. That was all three of us. That was my producers too. They had a really clear vision of what they wanted, and we had a great time. And I'm still working with one of those producers to this day, Mark Doyle, and he is my music director. We've been working, live shows and records. He's produced my Christmas album, which I never wanted to make a Christmas record because
I never wanted to make a Christmas record either. Yes.
But anyway, my husband forced me to make that record, and then I ended up loving the whole process. And then this latest record that we've done, and Mark keeps my band together for me, and I'm lucky, I'm lucky to finally be in a place because, you have successes in life, like huge successes, like getting signed to, my God, Sony Classical, but if you're alone, you still come home to an empty apartment, and you don't have someone to share that with. And so now I have my husband, so I have creative fulfillment, and I have someone to come home to who really, I wouldn't still be doing this now if it weren't for him, because he is my biggest supporter and my biggest fan, and he pushes me. So I can get lazy, and he's just like, no, you got to do this now. You got to do another thing, and he will, what is it? I have to say, I am looking up and by thinking I have studied the joys of Yiddish my entire life because it's the best language, and everybody thinks, how does that shiksa know all those words? But it's like, that term hawking a chinik?
Of course, yes. Bang it. Oh, yeah, stop hawking my Chinik with that. The bang it.
I tried it. Okay, all right, stop it. That's what he does. Okay, and it's like, for those of you out there, that's banging on a teacup, basically, right? Yeah.
A plate. You're banging on a plate. You're making a noise and you're annoying me. Yes.
My Chinik. Okay. Okay. So yeah.
Is Rich Jewish?
No, he's not.
Oh, so you just happen to have that book because it's a wonderful.
From years ago, I bought it. Like, oh God, maybe 25 years ago, and I just, because it's again, I love languages, and I just, because it's just that everything in Yiddish sounds like what it's saying, and it's just a fun language. So it's and I had a wonderful boss years and years ago who would use all that terminology, and so I could converse with her, and she'd be like, that old fakacher. Okay, so I loved it, and I still.
Maybe there's a Yiddish album coming up, and you've done the cover thing, you've done the Dark Side of the Moon.
I think it was so interesting for me. I finally got my ancestry done, and I looked at it, and it was like, somewhere back there, I have like that much Jewish, and I'm like, I knew it. Okay, I knew it. And I'm like, yes. Okay, so
do you ever feel guilty? Do you ever feel really miserable? You've got some Jewish in you. I'm telling you, right? Everything's right.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, that's my story, and I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm thinking that maybe it'll be the Molly Craig thing, or I made a little classical record. Maybe I'll do more of that. I don't know. I love playing with this band now, and we're going all over the country, and we're playing these beautiful venues, and it's just the most fun. I mean, the solo shows are okay, but I always call those calorie burners, because it's all just me, and because my husband made me go out and play by myself, which I was also very frightened to do. I just thought, oh God, Rich, I'm not a good enough guitar player. And he said, nobody cares. I started telling stories about my life, and I never did that before. I never spoke with October Project, ever. They didn't want us to speak because they felt as our A&R guy at Epic used to say, when you guys talk or are funny, it's like a cup of coffee after an acid trip. You know what I mean? Whatever. And
I wouldn't know.
wouldn't
I got
know.
a stomach acid trip from
I
coffee.
can kind of understand the analogy, wouldn't know. And then he made me go out and do it. So it was sort of, in the beginning, it was sort of like a, look over here, see the shiny object. So I started being funny and telling stories about my family and my life, and just to make the show more interesting.
And people don't expect you to be funny anymore because you got the darkness and the voice and the heavy and those serious songs and stuff. And you tell a joke, it lands because people, she can be a funny person too. We like this. It works.
No. In fact, in order to get my confidence about playing alone, I started to study comics on stage, and I started to study them in like how they pace and what they do, because it's just them. They have to hold a giant audience in the palm of their hand, and it's how they would pace a story. And I learned a lot from that. And
you probably shouldn't have studied Gilbert Gottfried so much, because this next fucking song I'm going to sing for you is about this. No, I'm kidding.
I studied the ones that have, that immense control, legs. They call it legs, and command of the stage. And you have to walk out there. And what I said to my husband, the first time I was booked in a very big, beautiful club all by myself, a place where you don't do a solo show. You should have a band, but I did it. And I thought, oh, Mary, you're going to have to. And I remember backstage by myself, I just thought, just going to get bigger and bigger and make myself bigger. And then I thought, when I went out on stage, in my mind, I looked out, I took a moment and I looked out at the crowd, and I thought, you will be mine. You are mine. Like, you have to think, I'm sorry, but that is how.
I've been on stage. I do this. This is.
You know what I'm talking about? You are mine. Okay. And that you're the boss now. You're in control of that place. And if you do that, then you don't get nervous. You take your time on everything. It's a lot of things. It's like, don't speed things up. Take your time. Even if you're drinking a glass of water, take your time.
It takes forever I'm not joking, it takes forever for a performer to learn that. Because you figure, oh my God, I take 2 extra seconds drinking, I'm going to lose them. But now, I gargle. And then, I just literally, I go on stage, I gargle, I spit, I gargle again, and then I tell the next joke, yes.
You don't know that until you've learned it, and you've made the mistake. You don't know, but it's, oh God, yeah. And, yeah. And you learn a lot from bad shows, too. There was a guy I saw years ago, a friend of a friend. I got dragged to the show, and he was awful. His music was awful. His patter was awful. But he had this way of moving on stage where he did things very slowly. Like if he opened something up, he would just take it. And he'd do it like it was mesmerizing. And I thought, it's weird. You learn things. So I've learned a lot over the years, and I wish I could go. I wish that I was 25 and don't know what I know now, but I wouldn't have the life experience to bring to the music that I sing. And,
I wish I were 7 days old and still had my foreskin. It doesn't happen. You have to go from where you are to where you're going.
Exactly.
Where Mary Fahl is going to be is on this Wednesday night, May 31st. You can see a lovely venue called City Winery. It's going to be happening. The doors open at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, Rich, for telling us that. The show itself starts at 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
Of course, it's not just her with not that it would be terrible to see just her with a guitar, but it's
wonderful band. And again, I always say, great venue, great room, great food, great wine. And if you're already in New York, it's at 7:30. You can go after work, have a drink, have food. So, yeah, come and see me.
And also, please don't forget, you're going to want to get her album. It came out a couple of months ago. It's still pretty fresh.
Can't get it out of my head. And it's on Spotify. It's on Spotify and all the streaming services. And I'm maryfahl.com, FAHL. And yeah, this has been fun. I enjoyed this.
I'm so glad. It has been an absolute delight. Give us, please, just one more word of Yiddish to bring us out of this.
Oh, my God. Oh, what would I do? Well, there's a common one because I always well, I say to my husband either I'm feeling verklempt when we both cry, because we cry too easily, both of us. It's like I'm getting a little verklempt, or I'll say, "Ugh, Rich, you're getting all mishugana about this." It's like, you're mishugana, right? Rich, right, Rich. He never gets it right. So, but or it's like oh, what a mishigas. And he calls it mishigash. It's like, no, honey, it's mishigas. It's mishigas.
Yeah,
or I'll say like, no, we should have him over for dinner. He's Miss Puka.
Oh, Miss Puka, beautiful. It's obvious you two are beshert. You are meant for each other. There's another word right there.
Okay. So anyway, yes, I do love Yiddish. So.
And we love you, Mary Fahl. It has been absolutely just a messiah to have you with us in the Daverhood. Go see her this Wednesday night and go get her new album. Can't get it out of my head. Mary Fahl, what else can I say but shalom to you?
Shalom. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it. The one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon, talking with Mary Fahl. Was that not a blast, ladies and gentlemen? Here on Dave's Gone By, we're back live on this Saturday morning, May 27, 2023, with our 896th episode. It's called Falling Farther In. We thank her so much for being with us in the Daverhood today. So, yeah, had so much fun talking about,
Too much?
It's fine. Oh.
I have the apple one for you too.
Joyce was working out before while this thing, and now I'm going to work out too because I'm going to do my core exercises.
You also have another core too.
Yeah. But did you get that? Did you get that? I always thought you had a nice pair.
We could use we have a lot of pears.
Mm.
We could make some kind of pear compote for your chicken.
Out in the backyard we have a compost heap. That's my wife, ladies and gentlemen. Her name is Joyce. I'll eat this later, but quite cool.
Oh, then I'll take it.
Yeah, no, put it on the tray. Don't put it on the table. Anywho, we still have a little more to do on this episode of the show. We've got our Colorado Limerick, yes, as promised and warned, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we will be going to Federal Heights, Colorado, for a really horrible, disgusting poem. Yes. But before we even do that, I've just thanked Mary Fahl. I need to thank Rabbi Saul Solomon. Remember that you can go to his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. This is where you can read and hear his rabbinical reflections. They're like mini sermons. You can also watch his hilarious TV show that he did 10 episodes of for cable TV many years ago, and his great stage show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, that played about a decade ago off Broadway. They videotaped it. It looks great. It's still, I think, a classic. So go give that all a look. It's free. All the links are there at shalomdammit.com. Check that out. And check out Rabbi Saul's Twitter feed at Rabbi Saul Solomon. Now, those two folks were on this program today. Mary Fahl, as a matter of fact, is now a brand new friend of the Daverhood. But we care, of course, about our previous people, the folks who've been on the show in months and years past. What are they up to? Our friends of... No, there we go, thank you. Our friends of the Daverhood. So, for example, I want to let you know that our playwright friend Richard Dresser is finishing up the run of his new play, Our Shrinking World. This is today's your last chance to see it at New Jersey Repertory Theater, that is in Long Branch, New Jersey. Go check it out. And then tomorrow, our very good friend Gary Lucas, fine guitarist, he was actually not only in Captain Beefheart's Magic Band for a period, but he was sort of Beefheart's de facto manager for a while. But he's got a tremendous amount of solo work of his own, and he's doing From Beefheart to Buckley and Beyond, and he's going to be at City Winery tomorrow. City Winery is over on 11th Avenue in Manhattan. Go see Gary Lucas. And then on the 31st this week of May, Graham Parker will be at City Winery. Again, it's 11th Avenue and West 15th Street. Go see him. Now, playing from June 1st through the middle of June, Edward Einhorn, our director and playwright friend, he's got a piece called The Shylock and the Shakespeareans that's being done at the New Ohio Theater off Broadway. And then this Friday, Loudon Wainwright III.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, go see him at Landmark on Main in Port Washington. That's also on Long Island in New York. Playing now through this weekend, you've got the Lower East Side Festival of the Arts. They do this every year, kind of celebration of off-Broadway and parades and LGBT things and the whole swirl.
Is it like a festival?
Yeah, it is. It's literally called the Lower East Side Festival of the Arts. So they have dance and performance art and probably balloon animals and things.
Oh, wow.
But check out all the people who've been on this program who are taking part in it. Those include K.T. Sullivan,
Wow.
Austin Pendleton, alert, alert, alert.
Wow.
Yes, the ubiquitous Austin Pendleton. Here we go. Austin Pendleton, alert. So he will be part of, I'm not sure which day or days these people are part of it, because it's taking place the whole
Is
weekend.
it outside or in the theater?
I think it's both. It's like a thing. It's like a, because these are also the people who did like the Halloween parade. So yeah.
Is it like the Broadway Cares? Like,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's raising money for any kind of benefit thing. It might be. I don't have a lot of information, but I do know K.T. Sullivan, Austin Pendleton, and Penny Arcade. And there are probably going to be Penny Arcades there. But the actress performance artist Penny Arcade will also be all part of this, sponsored by Theater for the New City over on First Avenue. Playing now through the very end of the month at 54 Below, 95-year-old Marilyn May doing her thing. Amazing. So if you like cabaret, she was on the Carson Show, I think more times than any other singer, Marilyn May.
Who's the woman who, we were listening to the Great Songbook in Indiana and she was on there. Was that her?
What in Indiana? Broken Indiana? I don't know the song.
No, Indiana. Theater Critics.
No, that was the late, Barbara Cook.
Because she kept going up and then the guy kept feeding her.
Well, that was Michael Feinstein. He was kind of guiding. She was at that point in her, she was still lovely, but she was starting to, right. But that was Barbara Cook. Marilyn May is much older than Barbara Cook was when she died, and Marilyn May is still performing top of her game.
Awesome.
Rather extraordinary. Our friend Shai Therakolstit is in Khan, the musical, at the Players Theater off Broadway. He's Shub adjacent.
I was going to say the Shub family's.
Yeah, her boyfriend or partner or whatever you want to call it.
The boyfriend of one of the Shubs.
Exactly. Oh my God! It's a double Austin Pendleton alert.
Okay.
Wow. I can hardly handle all the Pendle. It's Austin Pendleton. He's directing a solo show by Nancy Redmond called A Seance with Mom. And it keeps getting extended. It's at the Chain Studio on West 36th Street. You have until June 4th to see it. Karen Finley, her show was extended a while ago. It's COVID Vortex Anxiety Opera Kitty Kaleidoscope Disco. And it's at the Laurie Beachman Theater, playing now through June 24th. J.O. Sanders, marvelous actor. He is off Broadway in the Roundabout's new play, Primary Trust. That is at the Laura Pell's Primary Trust. Rabbi Solomon is a Primary Trust. It holds in his second one. But no, it's Primary Trust with a T, with two T's really. And I do like two T's. I screwed that one up. Anyway, it's at the Laura Pels. Tova Feldshuh is on Broadway, of course, in Funny Girl at the August Wilson Theater. Dakin Matthews is on Broadway in that new revised version of Camelot. That is at the Beaumont at Lincoln Center. Lilias White is in Hadestown at the Walter Kerr. Alan Menken's music may be heard in Aladdin at the New Amsterdam Theater, and off Broadway in the revival of Little Shop of Horrors. No, I did not. I need to do that. Katie Sullivan. We just mentioned her.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a Katie Sullivan alert. Katie Sullivan is at the Algonquin Theater every Tuesday evening. Woohoo! And let's do a Seth Bisson-Hirsch alert. Seth's Talent Showcase is at Don't Tell Mama Tuesday nights. On Sunday evenings, go see Marcus Goldhaber. He's in a show, he does jazz stuff, at Room 623. That's actually the name of the club. Room 623 is in Harlem over on 119th Street, Marcus Goldhaber. On Saturday evenings, Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano are at Birdland.
They're still doing that. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
good.
every week. They'll be there,
Yeah,
God
forever,
willing,
yeah.
doing it for ages and ages. And Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks are at
I
the same
wonder.
club on Mondays. Yeah.
Do they get the same, do you think, I'm very curious, when people have a long-running show,
Mhm.
do you think it's just people who are every Saturday night we're going to go do it? Or do
I
you
wonder.
think, not
Who
the
comes?
performers, but the
Yeah.
audience? Or, some of it's got to be new people, but do you think it's just people hey, it's Saturday, we're going to go there?
I'm sure there are a lot of repeat customers, not every single week,
Yeah,
but
and that's what I'm
who show up
curious,
every
yeah.
couple of weeks to
Did you
check in.
ask one of your friends who do things like that?
Because where do the audiences come from? I always
I
wondered
don't
that.
know, yeah.
How do cabarets where they've got maybe 150, 200 seats or
Maybe
whatever it
TD,
is.
TKS, or TDF.
Yeah. Not for cabarets.
No?
I could be wrong. I'm probably
I
wrong.
don't know.
TDF doesn't do it, but other.
Like a
Seat filler
cabaret
club.
agency?
Yeah. But usually with the seat filler clubs, they'll comp the admission, but you still have to buy the drink minimum kind of thing.
Who pays the performer? The venue?
If it's a major performer, I'm sure
in
the
this
venue
group,
pays.
You're saying the people there
I think what they do is they guarantee a certain number of people
for drinks?
for the clubs, and then they get a cut of the door. So they don't get paid anything unless people show up. Or they probably maybe even have to book the room, and they pay out, and then they get paid back,
They get
plus
reimbursed.
anything.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's why, because when I was looking to bring
Yeah.
a couple of my shows in,
Yeah.
I was trying to deal with Don't Tell Mama, trying to deal with some of these other clubs.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, here's it is. It's $100 and something
Yeah.
for 55 minutes, and, you're on the hook for it, but you've got to make sure you're bringing people who will spend, and if you have fewer than these many people showing up, then, you owe this much. If you,
I'm
these
just
many people,
emailing my friend who had big surgeries. They
Oh, yeah.
said, she
But anyway,
said
I think
she's
that's how it
okay.
works. Anyway, Seth Bisson-Hirsch, he does Seth's Talent Showcase. It's like an open mic sort of thing. Don't Tell Mamas, that happens every Tuesday. I want to remind you, I said that already. And then, where are we? Jim Caruso's Cast Party every Monday night at Birdland.
She's okay. Ugh.
Oh, good. Yay.
They roto-rooted her stuff.
Jackie Martling, his stand-up memories video cast. He has new ones every Wednesday.
What's
So you don't have to go anywhere to see
Why
it.
do you call it a video cast? Is it like a podcast?
Look up Jackie Martling
No, is
stand.
it-
Yeah, it's a
no.
video podcast like
Okay,
this.
then I want to know that maybe we call your thing a video cast. That's the name of it.
Yeah, that's I started with it. It's a Facebookio Programmio
Yeah.
Podcastio
Yeah.
of the stream.
Oh, my stomach, David. I gotta track my food. Oh.
Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com, which is a website of New York nightlife. Dr. Demento still doing old and new Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. And let's give a shout out, even though we didn't have a quiz this week, we'll probably have one next week, to the folks who usually do our quiz. The wonderful David Sheward. Read his theater reviews at theaterlife.com and culturaldaily.com.
Are they coming next week?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, good.
oh, as a matter of fact, yes, we're going to have a quiz next week. I even know who the guest is going to be, I'll tell you. But it's theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and his blog, The David Desk. Leslie Hoban Blake, she is the co-host of Two on the Aisle, the theater
Will she
review
be
show.
here next week? with David?
I'm assuming they both will. I probably would have had them both today, but I just didn't have time or room for the quiz or the mental energy for it. And Vicky Quaddy, our beloved Chicago friend.
She was busy on the Facebook doing all sorts of shows.
Yeah, she goes all around.
She's traveling, yeah.
Meanwhile, at the Greenhouse, the shows that she's written or co-written are being done by other people.
Yeah.
So go see her in
You can't
Chicago.
do all of them. She has like so
Right.
many shows at once.
It's amazing. She is a cottage industry.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's Vicky Quaddy, Quade,
How did you
nunsforfun.com.
meet Vicky? Did you interview her and she became a friend of the neighborhood, or how did
I
that
think that
relationship?
really, I don't know how she suddenly became like more of integrated into the neighborhood and the quiz and all that. It might have been she was one of our early, after the shoot, was one of our early people, or Mary might have known her. Mary
How
did
did you
know.
meet her? To Mary? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I
Ask
saw
Vicky.
Late Night. I saw Late Night Catechism in New York, but it was with Mary Pat Donovan, who wrote it and co-wrote it and created it.
Mhm.
So how did Vicky become Vicky? It's really interesting. I will ask her next time. Maybe she'll be here next week, or we'll see, or the week after that.
Yeah.
But we wish her all the very, 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 very,
You know,
very,
her
very best.
incarnations of nonness.
Yeah. Yes, but what was it? Nietzsche who wrote "Being and Nothingness." She's
Yeah.
being and
And
noneness, and
Hard
that's
to say.
she, among all those other wonderful people, are our friends of the Daverhood. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Mozart. Okay, before we close the show,
Yeah.
before it's time for Joyce and me to mosey off into the sunshine, we have a Limerick, we have a Colorado.
Oh, I think you're not allowed to do those anymore.
Really? Really?
Oh God.
Maybe I'll co-do this with
Oh no. Do it with Wavy Man. It makes it somewhat. Oh jeez.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sad.
Here he is. Oh, God, this thing. It's a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, which means that it's a Jesus. He doesn't smell though. This is
Please, David.
no, because you figure he's either going to smell like if it's been in a house for years for smoke or perfume or something, but he's fine. He's quite lovely. Look at him.
He's depressive.
Mommy,
And his eyes are dilated. He's depressive with dilated eyes. I mean,
Most depressants do.
oh, his eyes have glitter in them. That's.
I know.
nice.
Well, this one's okay. This one's kind of occluded.
Oh, let me see.
He's got glaucoma or something.
Why don't you just clean it off with a baby wipe?
I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a dirtiness thing. It's kind of an
He's messed
internal.
up. He needs help.
He needs an eye surgeon or something like that, and of course someone to get the excrement off the side of him. Oh my God! So our Colorado Limerick of the band, Joyce and I lived in Colorado for a lot of years,
Looks like his butt's near your face.
and while we were there,
You look like Bjork. Yeah, I'll get.
Hold on.
You could take a picture on your phone, right? Okay, let me get a picture. Hold on. Oh, that looks kind of. I'm gonna get you with the whole setup. Let's see. Oh no, you can't.
Hold on, folks.
I get a couple, so it'll make a.
Okay, I gotta get back to the show here.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get a lot, so it's gonna.
Oh,
be
I know,
like, yeah,
I know. So, I decided to write a poem about as many places in Colorado as I possibly could. Big towns, big cities, little tiny nowhere places that are ghost towns. Just as many poems as I could. I now have more than 250 of them, and I'm trying to still write a new one every week. And amazingly enough, I found a place. It's called Federal Heights, Colorado. Federal Heights, and it's part of the North Central Denver metro area. It's actually a pretty big place. So we're going to tell you a bit about
God, Jesus.
Federal Heights, Colorado, and then read our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, our Colorado Limerick of the Dam. I'll tell you a little bit about Federal Heights, Colorado. For example, it's part of the Front Range, and did you know that before the white people came there, Arapaho and Cheyenne tribes were using it, and they hunted a lot of bison in that area. And then, of course, they had a beef with the white people. Get it, the bison beef joke there. It was incorporated in 1940, and just named for the fact that it ran along Federal Boulevard. Go figure. What's known there now is it is a 67-acre water park. It's like enormous. It's just this giant water park thing for people who like that sort of thing. There's also Kamanish Park. Check this out. It has an 18-hole golf course. And this part of it doesn't exist anymore. But back in the day, you could go play golf, and then there would be a little section where you go through a clearing of some trees, and there'd be another 9 holes that was called the Blair Witch Golf Course. I have no idea why. I don't know if it was creepy or spooky, or it couldn't have been that old because Blair Witch was much, or I don't know, maybe the Blair Witch movie was based on old legends, and the golf course was earlier. But they removed the Blair Witch Golf Course, and now it's just got a regular 18 holes and whatever else. But Federal Heights, known for camping, fishing, hiking, and of course, the motto of the town, rising to great heights. Isn't that cute? Isn't that wonderful? This poem is neither cute nor wonderful. It's our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, devoted to Federal Heights. A dissolute lady from Federal Heights would screw through her days and fuck through her nights. Her life was so heady, to be at the ready, she'd smear KY lube down the back of her tights. Oh, if you could see my wife's face right now. The pride she takes in her husband, who's holding a giant shit-stained unicorn and talking about women who grease up their asses for sex. Oh yeah, she married. I married that guy. Yes, it is. Oh, can unicorn tell the dad jokes?
Sure.
Yes. So I told you weeks ago, garage sale fiend that I am, that for 50 cents at a garage sale, I grabbed this. It is this year's calendar, daily tear-off calendar of dad jokes. But we didn't get it until April.
What was the joke from today you were going to tell me?
Oh, today is really, really good. And let me see if I can blank on it. Oh no.
You didn't tell me.
I know, I was going to save it for the air.
Stink eye. Move him away from looking at me.
Hold on. Come, pantomime horse. Ow. Jesus Christ. Here he is.
The shit stain is near my thing.
Well, near what thing? Get your tea away from the shit stain. All right, here he is. Yeah. Good Lord. Yes, yeah. You know, I stayed up all night wondering where the sun went. Then it dawned on me. That's a good, you gotta admit, that's a good one. That's a good.
It's better than a lot of them.
Yeah, most of these are really terrible. So I'm going back through them.
Again. He's pointing his horn at me.
Well, all right, okay. He's like me. All right, here we go. Here's all right, are you ready, unicorn? Let's tell some dad jokes that we missed from the early part of the year because we didn't get the calendar in time. Oh. You ready, unicorn?
Oh,
Dad, what's my friend Jordan wears snow pants at recess.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Why don't the teachers on there? Wow. I'm sorry, you fucked up. I know. All right. Dad! Yeah, what is it? My friend Jordan wears snow pants at recess. Why? Why don't the teachers tell her to put pants on? reading this crap verbatim because I told it wrong. It's like my friend Jordan wears snow pants.
I know you.
Snow
we got
pants.
it. We got it.
Why doesn't he wear? I'll do better. That was my fault.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. All right, hold on, unicorn. Here we go. Do you want to be the setup guy, or I'll be the setup guy? You do the punchline. Okay. What is a lumberjack's favorite style of beer?
Oh God.
Lager. That's cute, right? That's good. Lumberjack lager.
He's showing me. Oh, he's got like stuff near his Jenny's.
Okay. We got this. We're rolling now. We're rolling. We got the crowd. You know.
Wait.
That snow pun was great. I see what you did there. I see. I should probably be the setup guy. All right, here I'll do this. So, Dad, how good are you with PowerPoint? Oh, I excel at it. The setups aren't even. You could do it.
Doesn't even make sense. Like Excel and PowerPoint.
Yeah. Like digital graph design.
Or like like how are you with Microsoft Office products?
Yeah, I
making
excel.
art with you.
Yeah, I mean it's just like
They're bad.
they need an editor. They need something.
They should take out the D and just put a V for bad jokes.
You know.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Wait.
By the way, what's cute is that they do them since it's a tearaway day calendar. They do it for the season, so a lot of winter
course,
jokes. This is back in January.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, snowmen can lose weight so easily. Really? The pounds just melt away. The pounds just melt away. The pounds. Don't blame the unicorn. It's the jokes. It's not. You're only as good as your material. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Let me do the setup. You do the punch. Okay. Doctor, I've swallowed a spoon and I need to get it out. All right, just sit down and don't stir. Yeah. I know. We'll do one more. We will do, and then send your complaint letters to davesgoneby@aol.com.
Manufacturer of that calendar.
That's right. Who did this thing? Who did this unbelievably
What is it called?
terrible
Dad
thing?
jokes?
Dad Jokes is by Source Books. It's a nicely thing. You pay like $15 for this at the beginning of the year because
Dad
it's
jokes
worth
by Source Books.
on January 1st. It's worth like $15. By January 3rd, it's worth like $3. Here we go.
Wait, hold on, I gotta look it up.
Oh, I did the spoon
Wait a
joke.
second. Dad Jokes Calendar 2023 by Source Books. Wow, on Amazon it's between $8 and $14.
Even now?
Yes, Poshmark has it for $6.
The year's half over.
They have it with a boxed book.
Oh.
And it comes with some sort of the good, the bad, and the terrible. Oh my God! It has 5 stars from one person.
What did that person write?
Nothing.
And what jail cell did they write it from?
Maybe the person who wrote whose the thing it is. Let's see what they said. This is Source Books.
Yeah.
Oh, look, they have effing planning stickers. They have fun stuff.
Cute stuff. All right, so let's do one more joke, as it were, from Dad Jokes, 2000. Because they're clean, they're just awful. I'll set you up. Okay, here we go. Why did the NSA whistleblower spend the whole winter in Russia? He was snowed in. Yeah, it's a Ted Snowden. davesgoneby@aol.com for letters of complaint. I will forward any thoughts for Unicorn. I'll forward them to him, whether he's here or not. davesgoneby@aol.com. You can also message me on our Facebook page. Either instant message me or just post your messages under the programs, which are archived.
Oh my God, hold on.
What?
On Amazon, it got 4.7 stars for 3,000. That can't be.
It cannot be.
3,286 people.
Yeah.
They liked it.
Yeah. There's no accounting. Uh-huh.
They're showing the calendar. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Customer reviews.
Yeah.
4.7 out of 5. It says, I purchased this for a friend. Perfect for desk and nightstand. My wife and I, oh, this is sad. My wife and I look forward to the bad dad joke of the day. Many are riddles, and I shout to her from the study. Sometimes we just say, ooh, and we give each other a hearty laugh. Still sitting on the pharmacist's dad's desk.
You want to read that word?
I enjoy reading them. It was what I expected. You may get the occasional eye roll, LOL, but the jokes are clean and cute. My husband has been obsessed with dad jokes for over 2 years. I got him one for Christmas 2021, and he reads one every single day and posts it to Facebook.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, someone said not all jokes are new. Some were from the previous.
Oh.
And then he's sending them to his grandchildren. Oh, God.
That's someone who has to cut them out of their will. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking to see all the reviews. Let's get the 1-star review. Unfunny. So 1-star review. Unfunny. Bought for father-in-law because he liked the 2022 one. This one's awful. Some jokes aren't even jokes.
Yes.
See the picture. Dad, how's your fried chicken? Response, it's dead. This one said, not funny. I think they were meant to be funny, but they missed the mark. I wouldn't even classify them as corny.
Yeah, some of them are just like, what the hell? Yeah. It's like they got someone with a foreign language to write something.
It says, don't waste your money. The jokes aren't funny at all. I like dad jokes a lot, but these aren't funny. Jokes were terrible even for dad jokes.
It's a low bar.
Jokes so bad they make dad sad.
Aww.
Really bad jokes even for dad.
Oh, by the way, I have one for you. This is not from the calendar. But why is it so hard for restaurants to hire a bookkeeper?
Why?
Well, there's no accounting for taste. I just wrote that, and it's better. I wrote that in my head, and it's a superior joke to everything in this book.
Maybe you should write them and tell them you could write the.
I should write the dead. I really should.
So my friend's okay, David. She said that she has some pain and congestion, but she's okay.
Oh, she had sinus surgery, right?
It was yucky from what she described, so she's okay. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I worry because sometimes those things can,
Pete Townsend had sinus surgery.
Really?
Who knows? That's also a bad joke, and it's not true. It's just I mean. Now, if you missed all or part of this episode, and you really probably should have, you can go watch it again because we have archives at davesgoneby.com. Also, our archives are archive.org. That's a not-for-profit site where we have a whole channel of our stuff. And we have a YouTube channel. All our shows are archived. All the video shows are archived on Facebook. And don't forget, we even have audio archives at castbox.fm. Castbox.fm. So there's lots of ways that you can go back and watch. We were talking earlier in the show about having episodes going back 20 plus years. We've saved virtually all of them, and all of them virtually. So you can watch them at davesgoneby.com and all these other wonderful places. If you missed incredible, talented people, like we have Mary Fahl on the show earlier today. We've had Judy Collins. We've had Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary. We've had Tom Paxton. We've had George Clinton of Funkadelic, and Robin Hitchcock. It's just, the list goes on, and it's preserved.
What's
it's
the
saved.
name of that festival you said?
Lower East Side Festival of the Arts. So check it all out at davesgoneby.com. Plus, there's one other website I would like you to check out of my own. It's called davelefkowitz.org, and that is the place where you can read my.
Henry Kissinger's 100.
Oh, he made it.
May 27th. What's today?
Today it's May 27th.
Yeah, he was 100.
Wow. And you can see the excitement and hear it in his voice. I'm 100 years old. I started the My Lai massacre. Oh, giddy up, oh joy. That's basically Henry, who was really a party goer and womanizer back in the 70s, but who knew? Anyway, yes, davelefkowitz.org. This is where, if you want to read my plays, if you want to read the articles and stories I've written, the interviews I've done with, famous people, even more famous sometimes than folks who've been on this program, it's this repository, not suppository, but repository of all the writing that I keep adding to it from over the years that I've done in various styles, from song lyrics to plays to articles and journalism stuff. DaveLefkowitz.org. There's about 1,300 items there as we speak, with more being added all the time. Please give it a look. And please, everybody, go downtown to give a listen to Mary Fahl at City Winery this Wednesday night, May 31st. Doors open at 6:30. The show goes on at 7:30. The wonderful, if you still don't know, because we're not allowed to play music, thank you, Facebook and YouTube and ASCAP and Asshole and these places that, don't want you to play even 20 seconds of a song because they'll mute you and block you in 400 countries. Well, that. But you can go on YouTube and play older Mary Fahl songs from October Project, songs from her new album, Can't Get It Out of My Head. And you'll hear her, you'll listen for about 20 seconds and you'll be like, as the goosebumps go up your arm, it's like, that's a voice. And that is a voice I want to hear more of. Hear her live at City Winery Wednesday night. Well, hon, we've covered quite a lot today. We're back to doing over. We left early last time. We made up the time now. It's 20 after 12. Is there anything that we haven't covered that requires coverage? Nothing I really need to talk about. So anyway, I want to thank my wonderful wife, Joyce. I want to thank Mary and Rabbi Saul Solomon. And perhaps most of all, Giant Shit-Stained Unicorn. For joining us on this episode of the Dave's Gone By show. Giant Unicorn will not be with us next week or any other week. We're going to give him back, or at least that's what I tell my wife. So give him one last beautiful look. Admire him, love him, give him a good giddy up area.
Say bye-bye.
Say bye-bye, wave farewell. Understand that one of the reasons we're giving him back is that he has a shit stain running down his back.
I'm hoping it's coffee. It looks like coffee.
I'm sure.
Or baby food or something.
Yeah, something like that. It could be chocolate syrup, very likely. Probably is or was. And it doesn't smell.
No,
so
enough with it doesn't smell. So just because something doesn't smell doesn't mean it's okay.
Well. Anyway, thank you to Shit-Stained Unicorn for being with us in the Daverhood. And of course, to all of you, we will be back next Saturday, first Saturday in June, with a dancer. We will have with us Daniel Gwertzman.
Hold me closer, Tiny Dancer, Tony Danza.
Hold me closer, Tony Danza. Daniel Gwertzman is going to be on our June 3rd broadcast, I guess we'll call it.
Will he dance?
He'll probably show us a little bit of technique if we ask him, because his company is going to be playing in New York in early June.
Nice.
The Daniel Gwertzman Company. Probably in New York. I don't know. We got to look up some stuff on him. But he will join us live next Saturday, June 3rd, to have some fun in the Daverhood on Dave's Gone By. Until then, don't miss your Dave's Gone By. Have a, you can't really say have a happy Memorial Day. Remember the people who gave
Just
our...
have a restful.
Yeah. And also, thank you to the soldiers and the firemen and the
My
people
Uncle
who...
Bob was a prisoner of war.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he survived. He
liberated people from the camps in Europe. I mean, obviously in Germany, but he was a prisoner of war.
But is Memorial Day specifically for people who died in the war, or if they served in the war and then died later?
I don't know.
That might still be Veterans Day.
Don't they give the poppies? That's Veterans Day, I think. Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, look, please. Yeah.
What's the meaning of Memorial Day in the U.S.? It says, originally known as Decoration Day, a federal holiday in the United States for honoring and people who died in service. The U.S. military who died in service during the U.S. Armed Forces. It's always the last Monday of May. From 1868 to 1970, it was always May 30th. Then they made it the last... And a shout out Monday of May.
to Mary, who lost her brother in Vietnam. So
wow.
it's a thing. So yes, we do appreciate whatever we think about the government in power or the president or whoever.
I'm sure
Or
at the Memorial Cemetery they have all
They
sorts
must.
of stuff with flags.
Can you
Please
believe
get
we
the
live?
unicorn away from looking at me. He's freaking
All right,
out.
okay. Yeah, can you believe we live like a couple of blocks from Spiro Agnew? Is that the most amazing thing ever?
Not really.
Yeah, not really. Anywho, so a thoughtful Memorial Day and a very happy weekend otherwise. From us in the Daverhood, I'm Dave Leftgood. That's my wonderful wife, Joyce. Make it a terrific week and gone by.
Days gone by, days gone by.